But I'm telling the stream why I'm not an alcoholic right now. I feel like an addict trying to
Yeah.
talk down his addiction. I was like, no, this is actually in the name of research. It
I
really.
imagine I imagine yours would be the same no matter where you went because they're cross realm.
Yeah, you're probably right. But it's still like I don't know. I guess the only way to be able to tell is like add up the different. Well, I think it's battle groups is what you get grouped with. So add up the population of all the battle group.
I'm sure they balance it that where the population is kind of equal though overall in the battle group.
Yeah.
I just think in our battle group it's so spread across the servers like we don't see a majority like a pull.
Uh huh.
Whereas like here like whatever Dalaran battle group it might be, but like they're all on Dalaran. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the other servers in this battle group might be like less.
The ones that they grouped up with it.
The smallest ones, yeah, to balance.
That makes sense. I would hope it worked that way.
I'm sure it does. For like the queues at least. Because like, you know, when they tackled that problem, they were just trying to tackle like the queue problem and all that.
Right.
Now they're starting to implement the starting, and now they're like, okay, well, we're kind of destroying our guilds even more so. We got to go and fix that. So, like you said, communities is
I hope
the
it gets
effort.
fixed. I hope
Right.
all that stuff works better next expansion.
Yeah, same. Which I don't know if it is. I don't think it will be.
We'll see.
Because I like the idea of what they're trying to do, but I think it's gonna end up being more of the same where you don't even need like to be in a guild to do anything now. You just hop in the community box and then like, oh, I'll join this group. They're doing it.
Yeah. I was wondering if like the levels changed. Like on a vanilla server, it seemed like communities existed on one level, but then like since random dungeon finding happened, it's like communities were pushed externally to the game for like guilds that manage themselves with websites and stuff like that almost.
Yeah.
But that become too much of a hassle because I remember actually trying to make a website for a guild and spending like 3 or 4 hours on it just for nobody to ever use it.
Right.
But you've also got like the BDO style players who have like cross gaming communities from one game to the next.
Right.
So I don't know like I think it would be in I actually don't know what the best answer is, but I would think that it would be like try to get the communities in game as much as possible. And it
I
seems
would.
like what they do with add-ons and stuff, like if it's a good add-on, they integrate it in some way or integrate
Yeah.
integrate their version of what that would be.
No, the only way to do it, I think, from my perspective, is to put more incentives for being in a group and being in guilds.
Yeah, it'd have to be more than just your guild bank gets more money since y'all check the boxes.
Or you get a 15-minute cooldown,
Guild
like
challenges, here it is. 400 gold for running 7 dungeons, 750 gold for
oh,
running mythics.
you know what I would do if I was really like I would piss off my community or my base my player base. But what I would do is like take the 15-minute cooldown, and I would put like in order to keep that up per week, like every reset you have to do so much for your guild. Have
Oh,
like a
okay.
progression bar. So every week it resets, and you gotta like I'm sure somebody will go out and like find the maximum thing to do every week, but then have those change like a weekly.
As long as it was like some collaborative thing that you would have to do.
Right, but like if you only did it one time, then you'd only go into that guild, do it one time, and then never like work together again for that stuff. Like you'd
Yeah.
have to make it where like every Tuesday you have to do at least like so many group efforts, like guild runs. Whether like if it's raiding, you have to do like one full run or like so many bosses.
That's kind of
That
what I
way,
was saying too. Like right now, the
right,
only incentive is gold, and gold's
right.
really kind of meaningless right now.
So like, because people would miss that 15-minute cooldown, and like it's like either you do five guild dungeons with like people in your guild, or at least three,
Yeah.
or like do a LFR guild run. You know, even if it's just LFR, at least you're together communicating,
Right.
and then you can see who's participating, who's showing up, who wants to do like mythics after.
Yeah.
and you'd be able to tell. And then you could kick, and then like it would help you like spruce up like the in guild too. Like if you know they're not participating and they're whining, you just fucking kick them.
Yeah.
Cause like, well, you don't even show up. Like you're whining about the 15-minute cooldown, but you don't even show up when we're doing shit. So like, you shouldn't be whining.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would do. I know it would piss off a lot of people to lose their like 15-minute cooldown, but I think that's one of the better ways to
You
fix it.
you often can't take away things that already are
But it's not taking it
because
away because if you're not in a guild, it's still 30 minutes, right? And if you're in a guild, it's 15 minutes. So you're not taking it away. You're just putting an incentive to do guild stuff, right? To get it every week, like
yeah.
not and you
It
don't
would have
gotta
to be something new though. Like it wouldn't. I don't think you'd be able to take something away that they're already.
I think people would do it for the hearth. I think people would do it for the hearth. And if you're not taking
Well,
it away,
if you
you're just
introduce the hearth, then it would make more sense. But like a lot
no,
of the
you're just
times,
making
if
it
there's a
clear.
change that occurs that takes something out of the game that's already there, it ends up getting put back the way it was because so many people
But you're
fight
not
about.
taking it out though. It's kind of like taking a move and just refixing the move. Like you're not like taking the Hearthstone away. If you don't want to do it, you get the 30-minute cooldown. Like
Yeah,
being in.
I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
Right. But like you're not taking it away. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't see what the problem. Like I know that's like people are, well, you're taking. No, you're not taking it away. You quit your guild and it's a 30-minute cooldown. And if you stop working with the guild, it's a 30-minute cooldown. It's what you
Yeah,
put into.
I totally can survive without it. I noticed.
Me
Most of
too.
my
I could,
characters are
but
ungilded.
it,
You get
but
like
but
the
it,
extra dollar in house Hearthstone and
right,
like
and that's what I'm saying. Like, but it would get annoying after a while. Like, especially if you're doing certain things. Like, for instance, when I do the lockouts for like I'm trying to get the glaives, it's
yeah.
nice to have those two cooldowns because I know one of them will be up when I get out. Otherwise, you'll have to fly all the way from the raid back to wherever
True dat.
if you don't plan it right. And like, if one of them was on 30-minute cooldown, like if I didn't plan that right, I would just have to log out there at that raid and wait for it
Yeah.
to.
Or run
And
out and hit the flight path.
but like even in the old raids, like they don't got the ports that they do now. Like where like after you defeat the last boss, there's like a little button you push and it teleports you out. They don't have
Yeah.
that in old school shit. You have to run all the way out. I noticed that in Kata. I was like, what the
Dang.
hell? I gotta run all the way out of this bitch. I'm like, fuck that.
Can't believe BC didn't have it figured out already.
Kata didn't have that figured out. I don't know what
Oh,
you're talking
Black
about.
Temple's not. I was thinking Black Temple for some reason.
No,
My
what I was
bad.
doing, Firelands. Firelands doesn't have an exit.
Oh, okay.
So you gotta run all the way out of Firelands.
Dang.
Because I was trying to see if I could do it like on normal and then do it on heroic, like 2 shots, but no, it locks you out completely once you do it once.
See.
Yeah, I was hoping like, oh, I'll do it on normal and then I'll get out, reset, and then hit, do it on heroic.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah, if they don't do that, I don't think communities is gonna. It'll give you I think it's gonna turn up to be kind of like what pre-made groups is. It's just gonna be a more emphatic, like you can do more with it. I don't know, but I really don't. My hopes for it are not high at all
Yeah.
for community.
From my past experience, when something is gonna get implemented that's like this communities thing, like something new, like a new
Right.
feature or something, I often can't even guess like how it's gonna be implemented and what it ends up
Nobody can.
being.
They can't even
So
guess
I
how.
just don't try. I'm just like, hey, that's gonna be some new thing. Hopefully it does the things that I would like, but I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna put
that's
all
just
my eggs in
optimistic
that
about everything,
basket
right?
or basket rather. What's
I mean,
that?
I would. I said that. I mean, that's with everything. Like, I hope when I'm doing Black Temple, I hope the glaives drop. I hope the glaives drop.
Yeah.
I wish they made it easier to get the glaives.
Well, I don't know. Like
I don't know either.
that's
But
something
I have high hopes. I mean, I don't have high hopes, but I'm optimistic. But at the same
cautiously
token,
optimistic. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a realist, I guess I should say. I shouldn't even say I'm optimistic. I'm a realist. Like, I
Yeah.
have a feeling. To me, the way everything is sounding, it just looks like a formed version of the pre-made groups. Like you'll go to pre-made or the community, you'll look at a long list of like categories, you'll go into one, it'll show you another like what's going popping or what someone is trying to put out in a forum like page.
That's kind of the same thing that I was getting at earlier too though, like with the communities and the social stuff is the game had something back in the day that it no longer has, and now there's like this pushback from the community about it. Enough so that they have to integrate like something centric around communities to remedy it. So it's like you
The
often
problem
can't
is
take away things that existed before, like people will want it back.
they didn't they didn't take away anything. They made it easier for people to group up.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and
And
whenever the
that's the
game first
problem. Like
started, like
you know,
when there was
the
a
only
lot of
way to fix
people,
it, the only fix it is to almost like either downsize the servers to a point where they can start it perfectly, like when they're doing the starting, where you only see the people in like your battle group, and you'll see those same people every day.
yeah,
Like it's not completely random, or just remove it completely. I don't think there's any other way to fix it because people like to like they get on like the forums and stuff and they'll complain, well, there's not a lot of group content. There is. It's just like when they're doing out like going questing or doing like the invasion assault on when every 12 hours when they pop. What do you do when you're going through that? You don't like, hey guild, I'm gonna go do an invasion assault. Anybody want to join me for the resources or anything? And no, you go slide to the quest and you hit a button. I do it and like
unless you
yeah,
got like a buff that says you're grouped with somebody from your guild, so you have increased chance for Mog tokens or some new thing. Like if
yeah.
they
No,
incentivize like on the
even then,
same
even
server
then,
or in the
I don't
same
think
guild
I don't think that
interactions.
would fix it. I know a lot of people say that the mod stuff, like that won't fix it because once those people have the mods, they're gonna stop. And Blizzard doesn't have unlimited resource where they can just keep adding mods. And then if they do, it's gonna get overwhelmed. It's gonna get to the point where nobody's gonna care. Like you know what I mean with like the candy. Like if
Yeah,
you give them too much candy, they'll stop eating. And if you
that's,
finite the candy, then they'll get their fix and then they'll move on. So like that's not. I don't think mogging is the way to go for that instance.
I was just thinking off the cuff, like something that they could do
They
along the
they could
lines of that. Like
what
there's
what could you do? Like
different
Argonite,
things
like
people are focused on when they clear all the progression raids. Like
but all that
that's
stuff gets meaningless. Like they can't. I know a lot of people say that, but like what can they do? Add gold? People get too much gold. Okay, add mods. Once they get the mods, they're gonna stop. So I mean, like, cause it's a count bound, so you only need to do it once. So that's not that. Those aren't incentives. I'm sorry, but they're not. I know people like maybe have like a kind of like a an experience bar for a mod. That's the only way I can. And then like it's a count like that bar is
with
like a count.
reputations like Armies of Legion Fall and Argusian Reach. They get those little caches whenever you reach that 100 reputation mark again. Like
Yeah.
that's a new incentive that like will get you, like maybe you get a boost to that, like you get, I don't know, times 1.5 more reputation each time you run with a guildie or something like that. Like take something that's already there and something people are already kind of like, oh, that's kind of a nice bonus, and then just like tune it
It
up just
is,
a hair if they're doing something with people that like to encourage that interaction, I guess. Like there's
but what I'm
ways,
saying is,
there's gonna be
no, that's not a good way though because
excuse me.
once they get whether it's reputation, currency, or anything, once people have had their fill, it's gonna stop. So it's like
That's with
an
anything
adrenaline.
though, like
But yeah, that's
it's
what I'm
like
saying. Like
overtly
that's not a good
pessimistic
thing.
in my opinion.
That's just an adrenaline shot. Like yeah, it's gonna work for. I mean, they don't need to do that because when you launch an expansion, people are gonna come anyways. You don't need to do it then,
And hopefully
right?
people would interact socially just for that satisfaction of like hanging out with their friends. Like, yeah, that
But
was
they
a really
don't.
good time.
Right, they don't though, because like I said, it's just so easy to right click. Oh, join group, join group.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm saying this because I want that experience, and yet I'm guilty of just hitting that button every time. And I know that if they changed it, like the only thing I can see is actually putting those goals, making them weekly, where you had to do something to. I could see myself doing it. I'd complain about it, sure. I know I would,
Yeah, you wouldn't
but
want to
like I
have
would
to
do
do
it.
something.
But I would do it still because like, oh
It
yeah,
can't
that's
be anything you feel like you're missing out if you're not doing it that way, because then you're kind of like a prisoner at that point,
No,
and
but see,
that doesn't
that's
really
the
feel
problem.
good.
See, they need to do that because if they don't, it's gonna keep going along the way it is, where single player people are gonna keep owning this game because oh, it's not fair because you got to be in a group. Well, what the fuck? It's an MMO. Don't play an MMO if you don't
I
want to be in a group.
I think there's a way, because it's like that experience thing. It's like if you the way they incentivized it and then they reversed it, if you log out every 3 hours you get like an XP bonus or whatever. I forgot how it was. We were talking about it before though. It's like, but then they just flipped it and they made it the reverse to be true. Like, oh well,
They made it
actually you
reverse.
get bonus XP while you're rested, and then people are like, oh yeah, this is awesome. When it's the same thing, they just sold it to you a different way.
They didn't even. They didn't. They, all they did was they changed and show you the progress bar. That's all it did.
Oh, okay.
They just made it visible at a different time. That was all they did.
Which is interesting because it's like people agreed with that. Like they liked that better than the same thing displayed a different way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they
Like
can't.
there's all
They
these
can't
weird
bring
nuances.
that. That's what I'm telling you. Like they can't. They're not going to be able to create anything new to fix this problem. It's got to be something that they've already done in a new way to fix it. Cause like, well, cause they broke it. Like, and when you broke something, you can't add something to fix it. That's not how it works, right?
Yeah,
Like when they do it,
if your
when they
ant
do a hot fix,
population's out of control, you can't just get anteaters because then the anteater population's out of
right,
control. Then you got to get
right. It's like when
tigers,
they
and
do a
then
hot fix, like when something's working and then they throw a new patch or something and they break something. It's not because they don't go back and just make something new. They go back and add a hot fix and fix what they did before by making it a different code, or they flip it around or whatever
it's like
and
it's
fix.
its own job or something that people get paid to do to
Right.
figure out stuff like this. They go to school and everything, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna do something that will fix it though. Like there's gonna be that
It's gonna get
social
worse.
element's gonna get integrated back somehow. At least
I think
to please the
I think
people that
that
are nostalgic about it in some way.
I think the only way they're gonna be able to do it is they're gonna keep breaching. They're gonna keep making the gap bigger. Is what I think is gonna happen. Like they're gonna make it where you need like the groups to do the island expeditions. In order to do them PvP. The
Yeah.
only I think the only thing that they could possibly make to fix anything is Battlefront. If they can make Battlefronts to a cohesion point where everybody like on a faction is working together, that's about the only way I can see them doing adding anything to fix it. Islands expeditions is just if they make that PvP where you can do the island expeditions against 3 members of the opposing faction, it's just adding stuff to like 3v3, It's not really gonna add a whole bunch of community talking
A
unless
lot
the
of that
difficulty is
stuff's kind
super
of
high.
like just arbitrary ideas, and like so far as I understand it, like I didn't get deep into like what the mechanics of battlefronts are, what they're going to reward, and who's going to be
Nobody knows.
involved or anything like that. But I
Nobody has seen
thought
anything
Taliesin
Battlefront.
had an interesting idea where it's like, give me an objective based thing that affects like the world, and that we can actually see like either consequences or like benefits
There's
from.
a
Allow
there's
the
a lot
player
of
to change the
yeah.
game in a way.
There's a lot of through the data mining, they're finding a lot of the old zones with different models. So they think that might actually be a thing. I hope it is. I hope it falls along those lines. That's what I'm saying. Battlefronts is probably the only thing that they got coming up that might answer like the community problem. And if it
Because
doesn't,
of what
I
they
don't, I
mined.
don't, I don't think the community tab's gonna do anything but just it's gonna make the people who look for groups more like have more options. But I don't think it's gonna add a lot of friends to your playlist that you're playing with every day.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I think guilds are still the best way to go, and I think they're like it's what somebody asked in the Q&A. How is that going to affect guilds? And they're like, well, guilds are going to be able to add their own community pages. It's like, oh, well, yeah, but that's pretty much what they do now with all that shit.
Well, it used to be like you had a guild that PvP'd or you had a guild that raided, and those were your choices. Like, which one did you want to join? And I guess it's easier to like have a bunch of people that are like-minded whenever those are the only two options. But now it's like, do you want a guild that does transmog runs, that does like Project 60, Project 70, Project 80 lockouts, or like does in-game rating, in-game mythic rating, like world first type guilds. There's so many different things. Like family
Right.
style guilds now is like a big one I see popping up everywhere, where like there's a mommy and daddy that are the guild masters, and like everybody else is like kids, and like I don't even understand it completely, but
I've
like
never seen one of those guilds. Like I've never.
the mom and pop style guilds, you've not been in any of those.
I don't know if I have or not. I've never seen anybody acting like that though.
It's weird.
That must be like on a PvP server. Like I've been like probably a dozen guilds since we've been back, and I've seen different kinds. Like I,
Like, hop
but
into our Discord and post selfies. Like, Mike Preach while I was like doing that drama time where they had like a selfies channel in their guild thing.
well, I mean, Army of Woo, there was a night where they were just posting pictures, but like it wasn't weird. They were just showing like pictures of their family and stuff.
Neither was that until like people were getting stalked and stuff from the drama time. But that was also drama time that's highlighting
Yeah,
those
but the other thing
anomalies.
about drama time though, usually he's got stories that are like pretty old. Like I rarely hear him talk about something that's happening during Legion. Most of
Actually,
it is
that's
either,
most of what's been coming out recently is like Legion experiences.
but even
Like
I
that
don't know.
RP server one, that was a Legion experience.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. Which one are you talking about though? I've seen
The
a few
one
of
where
them.
the
I haven't seen
Draenei
all of them.
got milked, or the cow or the Tauren got milked or something, and they formed that
I don't think
coalition to like out that guy that was milking people through
I
the
found that hard.
rolls. I don't know. I mean, I often think too, like maybe they're like inflating their experience in some way, and like
I think
actually
yeah,
just trying to tell a really funny story, because I'm sure that happens, and I'm sure Preach
because
has to weed through those in order to get
the
one
ones
that's like
I've
at
heard
least
him do
believable.
about right, the ones I've heard about him doing a Legion like story, it's usually either about loot or going back and doing Mog runs.
Yeah.
Those are all the, but like you can almost classify those as the old expansions that they're going back and doing older content from
I
my point of
remember
view.
the early ones too, like when people would actually start trying to talk about a vanilla or BC experience, he would fact
Right,
check them. He'd be like, "No, this boss didn't actually do what you're saying he did right here, or
right.
maybe you just didn't understand the fight." But like he's a pretty good fact checker when he tells the stories.
Yeah, he doesn't specify a lot of the times though, unless it's like actual raid.
Yeah,
Like he's like, oh, they're going back to WAD, so they had to get in a group binder in order to do a 5-man to get the mystic whatever.
yeah. All right, Pete Vega, take it easy, man.
I don't know though. Like I have hopes for the community building in some form. I think it's gonna be hopefully for Battlefront. That's where I'm gonna. If I was leaning away, that
I
might do
hope it
it.
becomes something that it's never been before, and it's better in some way. I think that that's possible. Things
I
change
don't.
all the time.
I think it is. I think things change, but I don't think it. I think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna become any different than any other game again, like it was. Like it was the only one doing that. But
I
now
don't really
everybody
know too well about other games. I mean, we have the well, I've got limited experience in like BDO and SWTOR and like kind of
think
what
of it this way: like when they did
those.
that all talk or that whatever all craft. What were they
Yeah.
saying that all the good stuff Blizzard that brought their Neural Legion? Where did they get it from?
Uh
Diablo 3. That's what they were talking about. Remember for a while.
oh, like the
A lot
gearing
of good
system
stuff.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
A lot of
that's true,
not just
but that's
yeah, but
also what you should expect
communities
from the
are
same
coming
developer,
directly
I
from
would have guessed.
communities are coming from Diablo 3. So like it's nothing new. Like they're just now they're getting stuff that's already out there, and that's okay. Like I don't have a problem with that, but I don't think we're gonna
Diablo
see.
3 seemed more like a single player game from whenever I played it, and what I've heard people talk about, like I've only ever heard them say like my character gets this powerful. Like those are the type of stories I heard, but I never heard anything like oh, me and this big group were doing these things and like we met another big group and like all this stuff happened on the forums later because of it. Like,
Yeah, but when was the last time you heard something like that happen in WoW? Not in this expansion, not in WoD, not in Panda.
well, that's kind of the kind
That's
of
what I'm saying.
current
Like,
state of guilds though. Like
but
you have
that's what I'm saying. Like, Warfronts, it seems like that it would be the thing that would bring that back. Because if you have two opposing teams, whatever
yeah,
they're gonna be, like
opposing
just
factions.
even if they're just alliance and horde, like even if it's just like you're always seeing that one guild up against the other guilds, like that would make news. Like, oh, we stomped on the ground, blah blah blah, and then like whoever's undefeatable would everybody would know on our server it's them,
What I
or
used
on
to
our
like
chart it's
was the
them.
ranking system. Whenever I first started vanilla, you could go on the website and you'd
You
see
still
how
can.
your player worked. And it was specifically PvP I was targeting because I was like super uber
Yeah.
competitive. So whenever I moved up from like the 3,000 spot to the 3,000 or the
You,
2,999 spot, like I was like, yes, you know,
that's Raider
progress
IO.
amongst my peers. And then like each week was about trying to get that number to get like higher and higher up or lower in rank, I guess. Or
Right. I mean, that's either you can look those up. They're there. They're just not at that site. I mean, there's a PvP one I'm sure somewhere, and Raider IO for mythics and raids. So that's where they get the Raider score IO score from
this
your
this WoW population website too had like dungeons and raids rankings and stuff like that, and
for guild.
consumables
Right
and,
for the guild.
and PvP. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
could
So I mean,
actually
they're
see
there.
like kind of the rankings in that stuff too. But
Right for the guilds. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they're there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like you make it sound like like those are gone. They're still there. It's just nobody talks about them anymore because they're not as relevant as they used to be. And the reason they're not as relevant as they used to be is because it's kind of like BDO where there's so many different rankings now. Like
yeah,
they've got a ranking for PV, mythics. They've got a ranking for raids. They've got a, and so like it splits off that made the majority of the interest to like their own group, like you were saying, and they're pandering, and that's what the
it's
problem is.
like
I know when,
instead of competing across different dominance hierarchies, people are just
right,
creating their own and saying,
right, and
"Oh,
so
I'm the best at exactly what I do."
and
And
like I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's good that they do." No, it's not. You know why? Because it's no different than how politics work. Where oh, we got the LGBT community, we've got the Mexican community, we've got the Hispanic community, we've got African American, but all they're doing is splitting us up, and we might be happy as like a group of little people, but as a whole, like we don't really get along. We don't even see each other, and then when we do, we have nothing in common. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. It can fractionate infinitely, so it's like, where's the value when
Right, and that's
it's
why when you get
infinite?
on like Blade Fist and Cold Tiris and you get into a guild, there's 3 or 4 people. Why? Because they fractured everybody down to that level where, technically speaking, you just need 3 or 4 people to do most of the content, like because they have that group binding button.
That's why
So
it's. I think that's what's so hard. It's like a battle, a struggle to try to capture and create meaning. Like, how is meaning captured or created and conveyed
right, and
across? Like,
well,
that's
and
that's the
the
difficult
problem is
part, and I'm glad it's not my job as a game designer to figure that out.
that's I don't even think that's the difficult part. The difficult part is that all that stuff is subjective to their player base. So as their
Yeah,
player base has grown, you've got the people who just want to pet battle. You've got the people like Preach was saying, they didn't even know those people existed, right? Like when they're looking at the forums, like why would you even care?
yeah.
They were all the streamers and all the hardcore like raiders and PvPers were surprised looking at the forums what angers people. Like it's crazy.
I think it's kind of like in the communities. The ball is in the community's court to create that like that type of meaningful interaction and stuff like that. Like a lot of these YouTubers and stuff, they'll do the different things on their channel, and like what comes to mind is like Google. Well, every year Google they started putting out this. I think it's maybe even YouTube. Come to think of it, it's either Google or YouTube. I can't remember, but they'll put out a yearly video that says like I think it is Google actually because they say like the topics most searched in 2017, and it's like some kind of like progressive music in the background, and like how do you fix a kitchen sink, and like these are the type of like videos that pop up when you search this specific
Broken
subject.
thing.
Yeah,
Right.
or war in the Middle East, and then you start seeing newsreels, and like it's all the most searched topics in those. So that's
Right.
like actually Google giving a nod to the communities that are like, or even their, I guess, customers. I guess we would be customers searching all these different things and using and interacting with their
See,
software
but the
to
problem with that
like,
is you've got. I mean, I like the analogy, but it's wrong. And because the people who have own those websites, those are Google's customers, right?
right. And
Because
I think
because
also it's underhanded in a way because maybe that's what they're encouraging too. Like they want to
right,
encourage
and
you to keep on coming back and doing these things because, oh, Google's progressive and all these magical things are happening when people use their stuff.
it's not even that because like some people like argue like, well, when you type in this, like you don't even see my website, and my website is this, but you
Because
got this bigger
analytics and all
company.
that stuff, it's all skewed
Well,
with
like,
search engine
if you type
optimization.
in bank, like I'm sure one of the big first ones that popped up is Wells Fargo or like Bank of America. Like, what about all the lesser banks that are smaller? Like, they don't even they're not until page 3. So like,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like the customers are really those people who are in the top 10 or 20 listing, and then
I
we're
think
their
YouTube
customers.
does one like that too. Like YouTube has a flashback
An
to the
algorithm.
past year type thing.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at was like that's what those platforms are doing for themselves. But I think that's also like where like the community in WoW has grown so big. It's almost like these little groups that care about specific things in the game, like I don't know, Mog runs, and like you'd almost have to do like Preach and Ghost, like where they do like highlights of February, 2018, and they have like all the like most epic moments all in like one compilation or like movie reel of like the things that they got into that either made them laugh or made them like pissed off and rage. And like it's up to the community almost now to like create those that meaningful, like I guess, takeaway from what your experience was. And it's, I guess, just up to the developers to encourage or allow or a place for that type of stuff to happen. So it's like how do we create situations and environments where more of these encounters or more of these like interactions can take place?
But see, like even within that own that theory, like it's not no longer accurate because the reason that communities aren't getting together and doing stuff is because of Blizzard, because they're making it so easy to do things. That was if something's not difficult, you're not going to go out of your way to do it. You know what I mean? Like there's if it's easy, you're just going to just do it the easiest way, like
Yeah.
least possible
It's
resistance.
created a like almost like Preach was saying, the gambling culture where they're just like sitting there chasing their tail, doing like non-meaningful things, just so they
Right.
can get to more a different tier of non-meaningful things. And
Right,
then
like, and that's what the problem is because, like, when they added like, I understand they can't
I think South Park nailed it. It's like, well, now I can play the game. It's like, well, that's what
right,
you've been
and
doing the whole damn
like,
time. It's like,
look,
haven't you
look
been
at
playing
me,
the game this whole time?
like right now, I'm running around in a circle because I unless I'm actually reading quests and stuff, I abhor leveling, and that's why I always slow down when I'm doing it because I hate it. Like if I'm
Yeah,
not actually sitting there reading the quest one by one, and getting into the story, it's meaningless. Because what am I doing
yeah.
this for then if I'm not going to enjoy the story? Like literally, if you're not going to sit down, play a game, and enjoy the story, then it is that South Park reference because you just want to get to the end game so you can start and catch up to everybody else, right?
Well, at the same time, like South Park also like Cartman and his crew created their own quest by having like that leveling montage that they did to so they could take out this one nemesis in the game that was like out there killing people and stuff like that. So, and that's
Yeah,
what was kind of cool about WoW too, is like you can kind of create your own missions in a way. Like my mission is to level one of every character, or like Asmon, like my mission is to get every fucking toy in the game. He's
yeah,
currently down to his last page.
right, but
So
that's not a but that's not the game. That's an achievement. Like think about it. When
there
when
are
games
achievement
first
hunters like that too is
hold
like
on,
a
hold on.
thing,
But when games first launched, there was no such thing as achievements, right? When games
or
first launched,
speed runs in Mario. Yeah,
like like think about PlayStation and Xbox when they added their achievement list later on, like when PlayStation 2 came out and when Xbox 360 came out, then the achievements started getting their own little tab, and then Blizzard started
oh,
keeping
like the
track about that.
PSN community.
Well, no, but now you gotta like if you can sign on your PlayStation account and look at all your games and all your game achievements for those games, right? It's almost like a separate little tab. You can go to
Yeah,
your games and look at all your same thing with
your little
WoW.
avatar has the
I can
Portal 2 shirt that he can wear now because you beat
right
Portal 2.
or like I can hit Y, bring up my achievements, and I can look at all my accounts achievements when I got them. Right? They didn't when Vanilla first started. That was not a thing, right? Like they added that in later on.
Yeah, I think Wrath, they had the achievements thing.
Well, I mean, even there, it was. I mean, I would think that even before Wrath, it was still there. It's just like it wasn't as big it is now. Like people weren't really paying attention to it as
Or they
much.
had to go on to WoW Heroes or WoW
Right. You'd
Armory
have to go
to
onto a
find out.
website and track your shit.
Yeah. So
Cause,
like they've been integrating that external community to the game more and more,
and
like
that's fine.
over
Like I don't
time.
have a problem with that. The problem is that when anybody who starts doing achievements, it's not really about the game. You're just a completionist, right? You're
Or
and
yeah,
that
you're
mo-
trying to
and
flex your EP on somebody, And that
Well,
that
no, like,
again's like you can't compete across the current dominant hierarchy, so you make your
well,
own.
no, but
You're like,
that's
oh well, this is the thing that
right,
I'm the best at, and I bet you nobody
right.
else can
I
do
can do
this
that.
because
Right.
we didn't know it was a race until I was winning.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because like I bet like Asmongold with whatever he's doing, like even outside of WoW, I think he goes in and he tries to get his whatever he believes his completion list is, and
Yeah.
he'll go and achieve it, right? And then he'll either move on or he'll find something else to complete. Like right now, it's in his WoW, like he's done a lot of the raids, got a lot of the mounts. So right now he's working on pets, right? Until the next expansion, like that's his list
What
of his.
comes to mind too is like people want like a harder experience in the game because WoW's easy now. WoW's too easy. Like
Yeah.
everybody's so
They'll
overpowered.
complain as soon as we
So
get it. They'll
like
complain.
in MOP, they integrated the class what you call it, the class challenges. Like you could
Yeah.
or the tank challenge, the DPS challenge, and the healer challenge. You could get
Right.
like gold up
They're
to
still
gold
here,
or
right?
whatever of those.
Right. They're still
Yeah.
in there.
And it's
Moving
pretty
ground.
much like
Oh,
survival mode. Like you could just go
yeah.
indefinitely until like you reach some.
Like zombie mode, where like you had the zombies
Yeah.
come at you in
Plants
waves.
versus Zombies, yeah. So like that type of like I think
Gameplay.
that was an answer from the developers like okay, you want something hard, here's something that scales. And
Right.
almost like Withered Army Training and even Mage Tower now is a different version. I think they're trying to create like the version that people are going to actually like care about.
Yeah.
So like and then also for the completionists, you got all the different weapon appearances you can get from Mage Towers. But that's like where the harder version of the game is, and like how I'd be curious to know like how many people are actually like caring about that because we got this newer generation of gamer coming up too who just doesn't care. Like they just want to like push a button and get the candy and push a button and get the
Right.
candy. So like it's weird because like we've got such a huge spectrum of different interests and ages
Right.
and
And that's why I think because they give us all these options and because they make it so easy for us to do things, like they've splintered us. Like I know
it's
you said it's the
infinitely
community.
fractionating. Yeah,
Right. It's right now we're at that point. It's almost like I said, like politics, where we're infinitely fractionating. Where it's like, oh well, you did Mystic Argus, but like I'm just PvP. I just care about PvP. I really don't care. Or like, oh
yeah.
you got all the pets. Well, I just get
Or
off the
I've got
mountain.
one
Like
of
I don't
every
care.
tune.
Right. Well, I've got one of every max level. How many do you got? I only got two, but like, oh, you got Mythic Argus, whatever. Yeah. How
I
many tunes you got?
I like
Max level.
I do that for myself though. Like I don't really I don't tell anybody that unless they
They
want to
don't.
start that
Right.
conversation. They're
Right.
like
Nobody says
that. And that just happened
nobody.
today. I logged into this guild and this guy's like, "Well, this is the 10th time I've gotten brokenly superior." And I was like,
Right.
"Oh,
Right.
that's cool." I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my like 14th now." Just to
Right.
try to create conversation, but it's like I
It's
often
not. It's
wonder if
defensive.
somebody takes it as like, "Oh, he's just trying to outdo me." And it's like, "Well, no,
Right.
like what have we learned by doing that? Like, is there a conversation to be had there? Like,
No, and,
why is
and
that
and the
all
reason
there is
you
to do
really
in the
do it
game right
is
now?
because it's defensive. It's a defensive. It's almost like everybody does that. Like nobody goes out. Well, I've got 596 pets. It's like
I
it's
think of
until
that in real
somebody.
life too. Like my buddy Eric over here. Like when I first started getting to know him and stuff like that, he's like, "Well, I play guitar," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I play
Me
guitar
too.
too." And then all
Right,
of a
and then
sudden
get
it
all
turns
defensive.
into a competition. It's like, "Well, I know
It's
this
a
song and I could do these things," and it's like, "Well, I know this song and I could do these things." I think what I go for whenever I try to have a
it's a
conversation about the thing we both
no,
know
yeah,
something about, and then I also
but
try
it's
to
a
learn things from the person that knows things that I don't know. But
right, but it's a
it
distinction
can
like that.
we can get
Like
in our
that.
head and we could get like knee jerk reaction like defensive like you were starting to
Right.
say. And I
No,
see
but like
like he specifically started doing that. He started thinking that like we were competing or something, and that's kind of the social I think the social awkwardness we're at right now with like the larger society with
no. I
right,
think what
getting
makes it
raised with devices in your
awkward.
face.
What makes it awkward. What makes it awkward is people are telling you that it's bad. That's what makes it awkward.
What's that?
When
What do you
people
mean?
when we as a whole as society don't acknowledge that because we are different, because we can do, or because there is someone who's going to be better at something, because we're at a PC state, and I think it's completely wrong, where it's like, oh, it's okay, everybody gets a trophy. Oh, you only got 5 mounts, I got 227 mounts, so let's each have the same trophy.
That I did that kind of patting you on the back for failure and like not really expecting
Well, no,
someone to
it's the same argument
or
because
put
like
participation awards, all they do is create insecurity. If like later on you feel insecure because you don't know if you're actually being like acknowledged because you're good
and
or
that's
you're
what I'm saying
great,
because
or if they're
but
just
that
saying that to make you not feel bad. So
no,
you end
but
up with like
that
low
stems for the whole
self-esteem.
point. Right, but that stems to the whole point of the self-esteem and defensive argument because we're
Yeah.
telling ourselves that that's bad. No, it's not bad. If you want to get defensive and
What's
have that
bad though?
knee-jerk reaction, it's okay.
What do you mean bad though? Like what's bad?
Because like when you get into like you we were talking about when you brought out the guitar scenario, right? Like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it's a knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh yeah, and I can play this. Oh yeah, I can play this. Like it's a knee-jerk reaction, but that's what builds relationships. It's kind of like in the schoolyard when you and the little other boy get into a fight, but then after that you're like the
Yeah.
best of friends.
Somebody that's really well socialized, I think, early on, like before we start filtering ourselves to the people that we interact with. Uh, I remember specifically, like, whenever I was growing up, moving to different places, if I was going to
Right.
be friends with somebody, we came to blows very quickly. And then
Right.
after that, we were friends. Like, when I met my cousin Gabriel, like, within the first 30 minutes like we're actually like throwing fists and fighting
Right.
and like because we're trying to like show off to everybody around
It's
us.
right. It's a knee
What
jerk
the hell?
reaction, and it's fine. It's okay as long as it doesn't. I mean, there should be thresholds. I like it shouldn't come to blows. Like now that you're an adult and you know better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
And that's kind
but
of
like
the fear maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know
but
what
it's
it
not
is when
even a
you're an adult. Like that shit's it's weird.
no. Well, because like we try to tell ourselves that it's wrong, that we shouldn't take out our measuring sticks and do it. Like that's okay. Like to a certain extent,
Don't
it's
be
okay.
prideful or vaunteth yourself.
Well,
That
like
type of
do
stuff.
it, but like know when to put it, like put back the, put it back in your pants, right? No, bring
Yeah.
it out. Like even women, like it's okay to bring it out. Oh, I got big
Or
boobs,
any
but like,
movie or TV show like, okay, men, if
well,
you're done
cause
with your pissing contest.
right, right, cause like by trying to tell us in society that that's bad, that we shouldn't be doing that, it's almost telling like you shouldn't brag about or you shouldn't be proud about what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it goes back to like if even the people who aren't really good at it get a trophy, then everybody later on in life is gonna feel like, well, it really doesn't matter what I do because everybody's gonna get that trophy, even though I'm really good at this, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying, like to a certain extent, and that's what even WoW, like I developers by taking that away by giving us, like I like the options, I do, but it's also hurting the community at the same time by us, like there's more different types of measuring sticks. Oh, I did my mythic 25 on all the dungeons this week. Well, I did mythic Argus, and
Yeah.
then it's like everybody has their own measuring stick, and it's like no two sticks are alike, and you can't even say, oh yeah, well I did that and I did this. You can't even do that anymore because there's
Yeah.
no time. There's so
Right.
much stuff.
You got 4 seconds to either like, to get whatever you're trying to get out of that interaction
Right,
done,
right.
or before that person moves on, or even you yourself get distracted.
Right, with like it's like you and me, like I'm kind of turning into an alcoholic myself. Like I wasn't there before you. Like I'm still on got what 7 max tunes,
Yeah.
and but like even if we were to bring that up, it's not. We're not doing mythic Argus. We're not doing mythic. And then you've got those people who have like 15 alts and they're still doing mythic Argus and they're mythic whatchamacallit. But there's just some people who don't got that time. Like it's you gotta pick and choose. Like, am I gonna do this or am I gonna do this?
Yeah, you got to use your time effectively, and you got to make sure nobody's gonna waste it for you, because like a lot of people
Yeah.
are interested in things you have no like care or worry about,
Right.
and then you
Because
end up
like
wasting your time running this Magra just just
right.
because. And I think to get back to like the social interaction thing and fighting within the first 15 minutes, like that also may be something that's built inside of us for surviving on this planet, because
I think so
like
too. I think so too.
it's almost like that previous argument or like idea I was telling you that where Joe Rogan was saying when you get in the workplace with the female, everybody starts morphing to see who's gonna bang
Yeah.
this chick. They become like what they think that woman wants or something. I think
Or
that
what
that
they
goes even among males. There's always
there's
an alpha or a leader of the
right.
pack.
They always try to perceive what she's gonna like. Like they start wearing cologne or
Yeah,
getting all out. Yeah, and even just in a group of guys, like there's always one guy who thinks he's the alpha,
yeah.
and you know what? That is fine
Well,
to a certain extent
I
because
think
no,
that's
but
part of that tribalism though, that survival thing that's just built inside of us, where if we're gonna form a group, like even our country has a president, or even like, you know what I mean, or even our world has a leading
Right.
country in
But
like
see, I
whatever it
think
is.
what people, and the reason that people
I
like
need
say,
a
oh,
sweater.
well,
Hold
well,
on.
people get all like
Look at,
defensive about all like that, like groups like that. I don't want to say defensive, but
I
they
get,
call it like a
I know what you mean though.
barbaric or Neanderthal. Like it's such a
Yeah,
old way of
they start
thinking, and
pushing back. Oh, oh,
you're right. Like we're society, we're in a new. But the problem
or
is
America's
like,
better than China,
right,
or
right.
like,
But like when they, but my problem when the pushback comes about that stuff, like when they talk about how like the alpha mentality is wrong, and it's like it's not wrong. It's that people get so focused on the alpha part that they don't realize that the alpha is just the speaker of the group, right? He's not actually the one always making the decisions. He's just the one voicing the opinion for the whole overall, right?
or like Joe Rogan says, like when you're kids, like you're always trying to figure out how to do shit, like whatever you're trying to do, and it doesn't matter who's in charge. Whoever's the most confident becomes in charge. It doesn't matter how smart he is or whether or not he's
Right,
making like the right or wrong decision. It's
right.
just
He's the
like, this
spokesperson.
dumbass is at least confident, so let's do
Right,
whatever he says.
right. Well, but like in the best groups, like even in like especially in a work environment, what you have the alpha who will be like the first one through the door, the like especially like in military aspect or even
The
like in office.
Marines, yeah.
They'll have someone the first one through the door, or
There's
like
the
they'll
phallus, and then there's a
or he
chalice, and that's in
no
all
no
things.
but or he's like the outspoken. He's the one who actually but so most of the time there's someone in that group and you may not know who it is, but he's actually the smart one that's coming up with the plans and it's
The
like this is what
rogue,
we need to
yeah,
right, the rogue
or the
or whoever.
trickster. He
Trick
knows that he doesn't need to be in charge for things to work out in his favor.
or he knows that like this big ape next to me, like if everybody's focused on him, I can have this other chick who's
Yeah.
like, got big breasts. She can walk up to a guy and steal his car keys, right?
In
It's like
Batman, like
everybody
there's that, or no, no, it's not Batman. I was thinking Face Off. There's this big ass dude who's like all like chained up and shit. Nicolas Cage is like, "Hey Bubba, you want to get out of here?" He points him in the right
yeah,
direction, tells him what
yeah.
wall to knock down,
Or
and they
or
help each
even
other.
right, like or even in the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Alpha. I mean, in most cases, you would think that it's what's the big Neanderthal guy until he opens his mouth and you realize he's
Oh yeah,
completely retarded. And then
yeah,
like so basically, I mean, Star-Lord is really the beta that has to be the alpha because like the strong guy is just retarded, right?
yeah. The woman appears to be the alpha in that group too.
But
Uh,
like they let Peter do all the talking though usually.
yeah, and that
Yeah,
too is like the leader also knows like you don't have to always be in a position where you're deciding. Like they know
right.
how to let others decide.
Right, and see, I like the best show that I think portrays like the alpha mentality that where it could even switch depending on the situation is. Do you remember that show called Leverage, where it was about the
Um,
thieves?
it sounds familiar, but I don't really. I haven't watched a whole
Well,
lot of.
like almost depending because they're like a bunch of thieves and they're led by a former insurance guy who used to like track thieves like in his that would be his job
Yeah,
when things are stolen or and he'd have to go and people file claims and stuff.
excuse me.
Anyway, so
Yeah,
he got a group of thieves to work together, but like depending on what their game is, like the alpha would switch. Like, but they
yeah.
all knew that the plan was the insurance guy, right? And then everybody else had their roles. Like there was the hacker, there was the military guy.
Or Fast and the Furious, like all those. There's like that
Usually,
same dynamic where
they're
everybody's
usually Tony
specialized in
Toretto.
some way.
Right.
And that's
That's
what's
another
cool.
good
That's
example.
like what's important for communities too, is like you have to have diverse specializations for a
The group
community
to
that's
work.
going anywhere. Yeah.
Right.
You can't
Yeah.
all just
And
be
that,
like you're in an echo chamber doing just one specific thing. I
because
mean,
then the
the
guild
guild
falls
as well.
apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the guild as
just
well.
like
Like you
all the
got the
guilds.
healer type, and you got the
Just,
Zazu
but like
warlock dude.
that's what, and that goes right back to what we were talking about earlier. Like when you were talking about how every group has their own thing. Like you can join a guild that just does this, but the problem with that, if you join a guild who's just relaxed, nobody's gonna step up and say, "Well, I'll be raid leader," right?
Yeah. Or
And then if
nobody's
you
gonna get groups together, and that's what's kind of cool
right,
initially. Like right off rip when we joined this guild, like
right,
that person was like, "Hey, do you need help with this? Let me send you some
right,
of that."
do you
Oh,
need
you need
that?
a mythic run? Well, I think this person over here runs mythics. Like this
Right,
is an actual, like this is a guild that has a functioning leader. that's actually like, you know, connecting dots.
Right.
And that was what
And
I
that,
was kind of most excited about just in our initial first impression of this place. I hope it stays that way. Hopefully that
me
person's
too,
an
'cause
active player, and hopefully
for
that
like
person has like contingency leaders in place already, like they're officers that are actually doing officer things, like much like the leader.
the one thing I don't like about the guild already is we've gotten on during the day and there's only like 5, 6 people on.
And they were talking earlier, but the priest
No,
that
it's
I
not
was
even.
talking to.
It's not even talking. But if we're gonna try this thing like long term, we need to find a guild that has at least 10 to 15 people on during the like our schedule time.
They're five including us, or
No,
I don't know.
well, look at the guild. It's 6 right now, right? I'm talking
Six?
about we need to get
Yeah.
into a guild that has 10 to 15 people on when we're on in the morning.
And we're like 40% of the guild, so like I think we could probably just, if we're active, get something going and maybe
Not
incentivize
with six
people to log
people,
in.
but that's my point. Like when we joined yesterday, it was 7 o'clock prime
I
time.
don't expect the guild to already be what we need it to be, but I think if we show up and there's like a presence of at least us doing something, like we could probably get to a point to where we can recruit people during hours that we're playing. Because I wonder, like
Not
right
if they're
now,
not on.
no, I
Not if
mean
they're
like
not.
online, like recruit from like all the people who are playing on this 20,000 population server. You know what I mean? Like even outside of this guild,
But like, all right. So let's
the
say that there's
shards populations.
currently, unless they're on the opposite faction right now, unless they're playing a horde tune, there's only, including us two, there's only 6 people on. You couldn't even do. That's not even half a raid crew. That's what I'm saying. Like,
But this is like
yeah,
what, Thursday? During a work hour? Like I don't really expect much from, but I think
but
if we're doing
but if
stuff,
we okay, but if we had stayed on our old server and waited and just did things in the afternoon, people would come on. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this defeats the purpose unless we find a guild of people that are on during our current schedule. You know what I mean?
I don't think
Because we know
one day is enough of an experiment though. Like we need to probably give it more time.
I didn't. I no. I said I'm not like. All I said was I was
Oh,
looking.
like if trends stay this way, yeah, I agree.
Right.
If it's
Like
always like this, then yeah, that could be a problem.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now because it's you said it died down. It was talking earlier, but still 6 people, including us. That's
Yeah.
not like you could barely get a 5 man, and that's if they're not doing their own thing at the time.
Let's see. We got one guy in Taurus. Another guy
Right.
is doing invasion points. It looks like, well, two of them are doing invasion points, which is like what I would be doing on my other
Right.
characters anyways.
Well, which means that they're probably their alts. They're not their mains, or unless they're returning
That,
to the game.
or they're just trying to fill time since nothing's going on.
Well, if you had all the gear, you would not be doing invasion points because I don't do them on ethereal. Well, you wouldn't do them on
Yeah,
anybody who had 935 and get higher.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless
Like, so
you're
they're
still
probably
just
on alt.
farming for Lego drops, because it's a good
Well,
place for Legos.
yeah, I guess, but I mean, it'd probably just be faster just to knock out LFR and do your daily heroics because you'd get 1,000 in a week, easy.
I saw Preach's latest video. He was
He does
wrapping
say
up
that.
his
He
experiment.
say, oh yeah,
He said Mythics isn't a good place to farm gear if that's what you're trying to do. He says that there
right,
was like a 0.08 an hour item level gain from that.
yeah.
So he said if you want to make most effective use of your time and gear up quickly, the Mythic raids is where it's at. Like you got to try to get to that level.
I've
And
known that. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean that's there, that plateau is always somewhere. And
yeah.
I guess aside from just trying to raise your item level though, like what else is there really to do until BFA comes out? Like PvP maybe? This would probably be if I was still playing the
That's
way I
what
used to, this would be my
That's what all
PvP phase.
that's what all the all craft people were saying, especially like when the brawls are up. That they say
Yeah.
it's really fun. They get into it, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's
brawls.
just
I want those to be really good. I've tried one or two of them, and I've kind of liked how the mechanics are changing a little bit. But
right.
I haven't seen anything that's really been like, oh my god, this is Swotar Hutball. This is awesome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, even sports or Hutball. I mean, I think we got the most fun is because it was at the start. It was me and you and then Joey, right? So like we
Yeah.
really had a blast.
You know, actually, what else comes to mind is during this phase, I'm trying to think of what I would used to be doing. We'd be gearing up friends and trying to like help reinforce our normal raid group. And in all
Right.
the downtime in between raids, we'd
So
be
that's but
gearing up the
that
next lowest geared person.
But that was back during Wrath before like the LFG thing became more relevant.
Yeah, now right now it's so easy to just worry about yourself and worry
Well,
about your own alts. That's kind of
it's
that
not even
selfish
that.
thing Preach was pointing out.
It's not
So
even that, but like with like now that you're, I mean, because you also have to take into account that you're older and you've got kids, so you don't have as much
yeah,
time to play.
you want to
So
use your time
you're kind of
effectively.
sick. So like when someone says, "What do I do?" You're gonna tell them, "Well, you go and do your invasion points, right? Like you were just saying, do the 3 invasion points on Argus, and then do either LFR or whatever, and use your rolls effectively when you can when you got the seals." That's what you would tell somebody, right? I mean, you wouldn't even hold their hand and do it with them because
I'm
it's
actually kind of
LFG.
thinking that you remember that question for millennials video I showed you? Where he said like
Uh,
the older generation, whenever the millennial
oh
asks like,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
what
yeah.
am I supposed to be doing? He says the older generation sounds like, well, this is what you got to do. I was wondering if that's what we're trailing all these like younger, newer players like. Well, what do I do now? Well, this is what you got to do. Go run invasion points. Go run LFR. Get your gear up. Then you may be
Yeah,
useful to us. Like, that's where I would retreat back to what I was saying. Like
right,
during the low phases, you kind of like take those people under your wing. Just pick one and say like,
yeah,
okay, you're our redheaded stepchild. You're gonna follow us around and you're gonna do what we're doing. And then that way, like you could kind of form bonds a little bit more. And this is like me
well,
thinking out loud about like shit that I want to force myself to try to start attempting. So like I'm
right.
not even like saying I don't mean like this is what you gotta
No,
do. You
you're
know what I
right
mean?
because like what happens when you tell somebody like what I said about like doing the invasion points in
And
LFR?
that's
Well,
exactly what they should
once
do. But like
no,
because
but
that's
hold
what
on,
you would
but
be doing, right?
right. But once you tell them that, what are they gonna do once they got the gear they want? Do you think they're gonna like, hey, let's start something? No, they're gonna go into looking for guild or
Yeah.
looking for group and look for like a heroic or a normal raid because you've showed them that that's all you need to do. You don't
Yeah.
need to get a big group of
That's kind
people.
of weird, man. It's like we're raising our kids that way, in a sense.
Yeah,
Like, and wow, like we're raising new players that way by saying like, well, this is the selfish thing that you have to do, and that's what you should be focused on.
right.
So now I kind of feel like, oh man, it's like back
That's
on the
true.
individual. It's back on like,
That that's
what you
why,
want from the
yeah,
game is Gandhi. You
and
gotta be the change you expect.
you've got to
We're
in
getting all
order to have it
philosophical
healthy.
this morning. What's up, Pete? Welcome back, man.
You've got to be the one to take it for the team and be the one constantly getting everybody or constantly helping people because then they'll feel indebted. Oh, I've
Yeah.
got to go because he
Right,
helped me
that's
out.
exactly what you said
Like with the
yesterday.
bag,
Whenever, yeah,
with
when
the bag,
when
yeah.
the guild leader gave us the bag, it's like, oh, now I feel obligated.
Because
I gotta
first we were
stick
like, hey,
around.
what do you want to do? We're gonna get a guild for the XP boost and the
Right.
and the and the Hearthstone.
We
But
came in
then
all selfish.
yeah, and then what happened? Oh, you need bags, and I was like, oh, I came with 10. I got the 10 bags, and she's like, oh no, I'll give you better ones. And I was like,
And
oh,
that's awesome
okay.
because like they laid out the mat like that, so we didn't have to like beg, which we wouldn't do anyways. We'd be like, I'm gonna
Right.
go. I know how to get
Cause,
my own
cause,
bags.
right, because we joined just for like for selfish reasons, but like
Yeah.
they brought us cookies and milk. It's like, oh, cookies and milk.
Yeah. It was like, wow, I really like this server. I like these guys. Like, and
Yeah.
this is one of the smaller guilds. This is actually, let's see, info news 685 achievement points. This is a fairly new guild. Like, this guild has not been around very long if it's only got 685, or at least it hasn't done a whole lot of group content together. But
Why did I wrong?
I would be willing to guess that this is probably a new-ish guild, like in the last months or so, maybe. Or maybe a couple years ago, but probably never got to that
Don't
point to where they did something
does
meaningful.
they don't have a? I thought in the info like it tell you since like
Yeah, I don't know where you would see
they took
when
that
it was
away, huh?
established.
There used to be like this guild since 2000 blah 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 blah.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, I think
I remember that being
the
a thing back in like
well, the creator puts that sometimes. Like they often
oh
advertise like, "Oh, we've been around since vanilla," and that's
right
like an
so
extra selling point to them for some reason. I guess that I mean it shows you that they've stood the test of time in a sense. It's kind of what business does actually. Like
I want to make a guild
Coca-Cola
for that.
or McDonald's established in the 1900s.
Well, shit! I just learned you could filter out the news. I'm gonna do that right now.
You can filter it. Oh,
Hell
new
yeah!
filter. I don't want to see everybody that's ever looted something epic.
Nope. Just
Legendaries I
let.
want to see. Epics
Yeah.
purchased, I care less about that, or even crafted.
Epic. Epic items looted, maybe. Epic. Epic's
Uh,
just purple, right?
yeah, there's so many different opportunities to get an epic. I think that would be spammy. Wow, this is cool. I just see all the Legos and all the level ups
Yep.
and
Waiting
achievements.
tower. Member achievements. Guild
Nice
achievements.
find.
I
That's
was
awesome.
looking for shit. Yeah, I was looking for shit just to like. Oh, I wonder what I can look for because I was looking for like a guild
Established. Yeah.
release date, established date.
You could probably look it up on that same populations website or something of the ilk.
Yeah.
I bet you it would say.
Now I'm looking.
I know WoW Heroes tracks all that stuff.
How do you do time played?
Slash played.
No, for like when you're looking when the last person somebody logged in.
Player status or guild status when you're looking at the roster. Not
Okay,
player
guild status.
status.
That's
Yeah,
guild
guild
status.
status.
I want to see like.
Show offline. So just today, in the past few hours, well, that's
Yeah, but
10,
it's
6,
skewed.
probably
You gotta
4.
remember alt. Remember, you gotta remember alt.
Yeah, what I do is I look at the hours that they've logged in, and I just guesstimate like, okay, so in the past 4 hours, 8 people apparently have logged off in the past 4 hours. So that could
Right, but
easily
then,
be one person on 4 different tunes.
well,
And I'm
what
looking
happens
this
is
the notes here. It says alt,
like I see like
ran. Yeah, that's one person. So maybe two
yeah.
people there represented in 4 hours. And then in three
Uh,
hours, there's three
yeah.
people.
And they
Few
were
hours.
logging on to do their morning dailies or get their missions going.
And I already know Walnatraz, the dude on right now. He's an alcoholic. He admitted to having 10 people. Well, my guy has one stiff arm. Arms will move at all. How does that happen?
Probably that happens to me sometimes.
I had this thing where it looked like I was falling. I'd be standing there and then he'd all of a sudden like fall. And then he'd stand there and then he'd do it again. And I was like, what the hell?
Uh, I sometimes after like the
Yeah.
Legion Assault points on Broken Arrows, the Legion Assault. If you finish the, if I finish the scenario, and if I don't watch the cutscene, like if I'm moving through the cutscene and it skips it automatically,
Yeah.
I'll be frozen and I'll have to log out from where I'm standing.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
wonder, that sounds
So
like an add-on. Maybe there's an add-on or
I
something?
don't know, cause like it's easily fixed just by like letting the first 2 seconds of the cinematic show or the animation, and then just hitting, then exiting, and then I work fine. So it's like I think it's something with that,
Oh.
but it's probably an add-on. Yeah, you're probably right. But if I
I know
like
the
just
skipping thing is DBM trying to skip, right? So I figured,
well, no, like it doesn't skip it, and then like it'll show like where like today was the one in Stormheim, and after you do the scenario, Odin's like, "Oh, thank you for doing the work, champions. I'll finish him off,"
yeah,
and he throws like a lightning bolt at it from like the top. But if you
stealing all
don't
the
watch,
glory.
like if you're like just hitting spamming escape or like moving around like before that even starts, I get stuck. So like
Oh.
I have to watch like the first second play, like not even like as soon as I see like the cinematic start up, I can hit exit and then be okay.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah, that's
weird.
funky.
It's really weird. Yeah.
I got chain lightning. Ah, I need to get in dungeon queue. I thought I was queued this whole time. Are you online or were you gonna run anything?
No,
Did
I'm
you want
running
to
around
join
doing
up?
quests.
I could heal just as easily if you want to just deeps and like. There's these monks though. These monks are really OP
Nah,
right now.
I think I'm probably just gonna use a token. I cannot do this.
Okay. Yeah, that's all good, man. That's what that shit's there for, right?
Right.
I'm gonna run the stuff that I haven't ran yet.
I
I
think I'm gonna try
finished
to.
Dead
I don't
Rocks.
know. I'm kind of trying to filling out the priest, the moves in rotation, just going out and killing shit. Cause
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to burn one on this class.
Well,
That's the
you're also like traditionally you more care about the aesthetics, and you've already got a good look at I think like most of the aesthetics the priest is gonna have.
That's fine. Like I don't mind the aesthetics. It's just I've not been impressed with cloth these past couple expansions. I just haven't been.
Yeah, same. But
They're
I
just
did kind of like get the mage up
they're so
pretty.
broken. I mean, I've got
It's
the
I don't
I've
know,
only
man.
done
It
fire,
seems like
and
most
it's a
expansions when new progression type shit comes out, the casters always make out like bandits. The melees are always moving, but Legion has actually felt kind of melee
balance.
friendly.
I feel
Yeah,
like it's been balanced almost because monks and warriors, if they're really good, they're insane crazy, and then like priests and warlocks, if they're geared, they're insane crazy, right? So I think it's a bit balanced.
I know for
Paladins
my
too.
personal taste, like if melee's doing any semblance of well, then I'd prefer melee. So it's harder for me to get into a clothy if I can be playing a melee instead. But I
I
say that
think
kind of like as I'm playing a shaman right now, the Ellie caster type.
I like shaman though. Shaman was fun.
Yeah,
I'm skeptical on the priest because if I'm not once I get like if I don't feel like I want to keep playing after I get like ethereal, I could play all day. Like I know I could. Like a demon
yeah,
hunter
yeah.
havoc could play all day.
Like
Paladin
everybody
prot
likes driving a Ferrari.
Paladin prot.
Shit's
I
fun.
could play all day. I could go questing on prot and be happy. Paladin
Right.
prot.
Hell yeah.
Marksman on hunter. I could play all day. My fingers would start to hurt after a while. That's why I don't because it's mashing buttons. Um. Well, I haven't done too many. I can't even think what other classes I like. Oh, monk. Monk's okay. I could miss weave all day. I kind of get bored of the Ratata spec Windwalker.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
What is
I mean it is fun. I like the mobility, but yeah, I think the mist and fist weaving, man, it's complicated yet it's not too complicated. It's involved. You can do damage. You can heal. But I don't know about this priest.
he says he's gonna report the bug that he had just now, and I was like, wow, I actually don't even ever think about reporting shit that I see. And I was like, that's probably something I should work on. It's like, because I've definitely noticed my fair share of little bugs and shit since this expansion has come out, or patches and shit have
I
dropped.
I used to do that, but then I can't remember who it was. I think it was or someone who was doing a video said something, or it might have even been not Taliesin. There's another guy. Like I think his name is Dalaran. I'm not even sure what his name is, but or Belisar. Is it Belisar? It might be Belisar who said it. He
Yeah,
said that. No, you know what? I'm biased.
Belarus.
It was Asmongold who said it. He said that he reports bugs all the time, and you can go back to certain expansions, and the same bug that was there at launch is still there, and the same, or in fact, some of the bugs that you see in beta not only progress through launch, but are still there. Like when you go back to that expansion, like
Oh man,
they reported it, right? Like they saw it in beta, it was still there. It's not a meaningful bug, but it's there, and you know it's a bug,
yeah.
and you can
I
go
think they
back and
think
fix it.
is it game breaking? No. Okay, so I'm gonna work on next expansion.
Right, exactly, and that's my point. Like, I feel like if I run into a bug at this point, someone else is, unless it's like outrageous, kind of like what what's his name, Pyromancer had the other day with him and his buddy.
Yeah, the vial of the sands thing. That was
Yeah,
pretty funny.
that was funny, and then like the extra bug afterwards when they tried to release.
Yeah, that looked actually very inconvenient. Like they were
Right,
past the
so like
funny part. They were actually it looked like they were on their way to get irritated.
right, and I think it was because that dungeon queue popped and it kind of phased them, but since
Yeah,
they were kind of like stuck in death and
they were like
undead.
in four different dimensions at once.
Right. They were like in four different startings or whatever phases, and
Right.
like Blizzard, the game didn't know which one to throw them back into,
That's crazy.
especially since they got kicked, right? Because they joined and they got kicked.
Right.
So they would have had another zoning once you get kicked, because after like 10 seconds you get zoned automatically.
Well, I did notice that they seem to be paying more attention to like graphical type stuff. Like one thing I always see on Reddit, these little things like the Void Elf's little hair is sticking out of It's the
Yeah.
heritage armor that's made for the void elf, and the void elf hair is sticking through it, and like it's just like this is shitty design.
Right.
They're kind of like
Yeah.
snarkily pointing it out, but like that type of stuff, like in animations, like where weapons are scaled weird and they're sticking through the ground, like they do kind of like do that type of stuff. I
Right.
noticed.
Within like the next couple patches, they usually try to do a fix at it.
Yeah, but if it's like something like 0.05% of the population might notice, then I think it's something they care less about.
Right. Or something that's easily circumvented and everybody knows to circumvent it that way.
Yeah,
Like if it's popular known that, oh, all you gotta do is this, then why should I go fix it? They already know what to do.
right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that mentality has gotten to me about reporting shit like that happens.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
true.
logging out, like when I told you about my freezing bug during that animation, that cinematic,
Uh,
it, like it's only 20 seconds. Log out, log in, done.
yeah,
But actually reporting a bug, what is that, like 5 minutes typing or 2.5 minutes typing it out?
yeah, and they like screenshots too. I wonder how that even works. How you would get a screenshot, but I think that's whenever you get to the email part of whatever you're trying to figure out. They care more
Yeah,
about that stuff.
I don't even know. I don't
Like
even know. Like,
I in the one of the most recent Q&As, like
right, he
somebody
should be as
mentioned like
specific as he can.
where would a good place to report like bugs and stuff like that be? And he's like, well, just like Twitter, the forums and stuff like
Well,
that, like
actually,
places people are
his
already
answer
going.
was actually his answer was it depends like what the bug is and how in
Yeah,
depth you can be about it. Like
yeah.
if you can take screenshots like and like
Whether or not it's useful feedback instead of like
right.
fix this, but doesn't give any specifics.
Right. He says like so like it just depends like if it's just a little note you can use the in-game thing, but if it's like something where I'm at this place in these coordinates and I got frozen and I got melded with this cow and the cow fell through the earth
Right.
and I took a snapshot of it, then that's probably going to be like an email. But if
And
it's
we
just
were
like
in Duratar, and he was a troll, and I was a blood
right,
elf, like all that stuff.
and then here's the link to the streaming part of this segment right here where it happened, and here are
Yeah.
my coordinates,
Just the
and like
vid alone would probably be just all the information they needed.
if you were streaming, yeah, or recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like and then it'd probably have to be on YouTube because I doubt they're gonna download a 200 megabyte video.
Yeah, here's the MP4.
It's like damn, right? So it just I guess depends on a bug. Like, and then if you just can't log in, that's like a Twitter thing. You just like, hey, I can't fucking log in. You know,
Yeah.
that seems like
Oh,
a
oh,
something you
nice.
could do.
You got ahead of the
Twitter.
curve. Are you online? Oh, you are. He got ahead of the curve. I'm jelly now. I want ahead of the curve too.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's heroic, right? Did he get heroic?
I think it's mythic, isn't it?
No, it's heroic.
Oh,
Oh
heroic
no,
or
it says
higher.
heroic or higher. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, heroic. That's not even very much harder than. I felt like that group we had yesterday could have did that heroic.
Well, well, we could. I think we could have got up to Agrimar with that group for sure. I don't think we could have downed Agrimar.
Yeah, they kind of started filtering out over time. People, they don't have
Yeah,
that much time.
we lost a good DPS like right before that fight we did last during the Kamehameha wave fight that you talk
Yeah,
about, and then we lost a good tank right after that
Kingara.
fight. Right after we lost a good tank. So
That's probably the nature of the beast for the weekdays raids, because I'd imagine a lot of people have less time to raid in like the middle of the day on a weekday.
I don't think that's true. I just think we're not in those groups
It'd be nice to find a group
because
like that. I
if
hope
you look
still.
at if you look at Asming, it's because like we settle for these guilds to get on it in prime time, like, and we shouldn't do that.
Well,
So I'm saying if we're gonna be on
streamers
those
aren't a
guilds,
good thing to put compared, especially like somebody like him. They can just make their own fantasy makeup and stuff.
right? Okay, but when they started, when they were clearing, I bet you they weren't doing that.
Oh yeah,
Now you're right, but I'd imagine that he was still raiding at this time. I don't think he goes out of his time to change his entire schedule.
it's probably better now than it ever has been. Really, if I'm honest, for like
Yeah,
raids to happen midday and shit.
yeah, because people are at home, like, and or they only they actually get a job that works around their their raid or game time.
Yeah,
Like you tried to do that once with the stupid call service, right? When you were on the calling service.
Yeah, I was
The
working the tele network.
technical support. Yeah,
I
technical
think
support.
I finished what I was doing there at like 4 o'clock, but everything I was at a point still where it's like I guess any job has that like initial few months that you got to get acclimated to what you're supposed to be doing, but
Right.
like so much of what I was doing there took all of my attention and focus to where I couldn't even get by just even logging in and doing world quests in between calls. It was like back to back to back to back, call after call, and all these windows open, and you
Right.
needed multiple monitors. So like I was actually hoping for something kind of chill, like with some downtime and like being able to do stuff in between. But that specific type of job, the call center work, is nothing like that. You need something
Yeah.
like maybe some kind of a chill tech support, and that's ultimately what I was hoping to drive towards, was like the upper echelons, like after you did your earn your keep, I guess, first bit
Yeah.
of like employment there, you got to move up
I'd
to the
imagine.
point where you did help desk type stuff.
To be honest, I think
I was
the
like,
best
what,
job
moving up to help desk support? That almost seems like I don't know.
backwards.
Is that oxymoronic? I don't know. Like you
I
shouldn't
don't
have to
know.
move up to do something that's like, lateral.
I don't know. I mean, but I know you say that it doesn't exist, but it's just demand. Like everybody wants those jobs, right? So
And also like where you're going to find that type of job too. Vulgar teacup. Dang, that's a badass beer. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He's been working on it for quite a while. Thord. I know you mean mine. I'm just joking. It's I try to keep it trim, you know. That's how it naturally grows. I don't actually like shape it or anything. Hey, Jin just logged on. Jin Wolf, that's the Guildmaster, right? They're on their Demon
yeah, I
Hunter.
don't know.
Hello. Want to make sure I say hi to that person. They're the one that hooked us up yesterday.
I think I was the first one to say something.
I jumped and I heard a bird squawk. I was like, wait, was that my mount? Vulgar Tico said, nah, yours. Yeah, man, thanks. Appreciate it. Genetic lottery for the win. Lucked out and got a decent looking beard on a poor quality camera. If you could see every strand, you'd probably be like, oh, that's a doo-doo beard. I just dinged 29.
Hello.
Like, dang, it looks so fancy. You lucky son of a bitch. I wish I could grow a beard. I was watching, have you heard of Badlands? I was watching Badlands yesterday, and the ninja kung fu badass guy in the beginning of season 2 has his stuff grown out. It's like the little Fu Manchu where he's barely got a mustache. He's barely got like the little fuzz on his chin too. And it looked like he'd probably been working on that for like 6, 7 months to get it to that state. And I was like, damn. He wishes, and I actually said that to Jeanette. I was like, he wishes he could grow it out like mine. Yeah, I was just being snarky. General says, howdy, how goes it? Goes well, working on them levels. Working on them levels. Vulgar Tico says LMFAO. I saw that. Oh, so you know what I'm talking about, the little Fu Manchu, right? Hell yeah. I love that. Jeanette, I think my wife is more into that show than I am. We started watching it on season 1 like the other day, and I watched maybe the first, second, and third episode, maybe the third, but at least the first and second episode with her. And she liked it so much that she kept watching it the other night, and she actually stayed up till like 11 o'clock at night watching it throughout the entire season. So last night, whenever I turned it on, I picked it up on her Netflix profile where it left off, and she was already in the season 2. I was like, oh my god, like you watched all of season 1 without me. And she's like, hey, sorry. But it was funny. Like she really liked it, so I like how it's like almost like it's AMC, I guess. That's their style, where it's like post-apocalyptic and like survival stuff.
Well,
So it
yeah, they make
reminds me of
that.
The Walking Dead in a sense. and it's
That's
like
when it came
just as
out. Yeah.
gory. Yeah, man.
The first season came out when The Walking Dead was like in season 4 or 5, so it was like at the height of that hype.
Yeah, like the Mad
I
Max
watched the first
zombie
season.
apocalypse type stuff.
Yeah, I watched the first season. It was okay. The action scenes were good, but they're too far
Yeah.
for my taste.
There's what?
The action scenes are really awesome, but they were too far in between for my taste during the first
Oh,
season.
okay. Yeah,
And
I
like
imagine it
I don't
takes a lot of choreography.
I
That
don't
was
like the drama. I don't like the drama because I feel like, man, that dude's a dick. Just kill him. Like, why are they even like putting
oh
up with
yeah.
it? I don't.
His fake southern or I guess it would be a northern accent,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's like they got into that almost like, I don't want to say slave mentality, but he's
well,
like they're really
it's
jerks and
barons and
assholes to each other.
baronesses, so like
Right.
I thought of it kind of like medieval almost
Right.
kind of
Like
structure.
royalty.
Yeah.
Right.
But then like the feuding houses and all that stuff, like
Yeah. It's
that's
like it's like medieval, but with like Japan, like where they got their own houses that are against each
yeah,
other and
the oriental kind of flavor to it.
mentality. Yeah. I mean, that was cool, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the. I just can't take the drama. Like it's like, oh, just kill him, just be done with it. Like I can't deal with
Did you
shows that
see any
drag
of
on the
season
drama.
2 of it? I know you say you finished season 1, but
Nah,
li-
I couldn't. I barely finished season 1, and that was because like I had seen so much of it. There was no reason not to finish it.
yeah.
It got all too meta with like when he was trying. He found like a map to where he had come from or something at the end of the first season or toward it, and then
I like the artifacts from a fallen like that. It seemed to me like it was post-apocalyptic, like almost like that
yeah,
could have been our society, but like all this other stuff, like maybe an advanced version of our society after it fell. Vulgar said, "Girls aren't allowed to grow beards, but my face gets cold in the winter. Season 3 is coming out like so soon or soon. It's a gorgeous
yeah,
show. Oh hell
it
yeah!
is.
I,
It's beautiful.
I love the redheaded chick. Like she's like this blade master, and she
Yeah,
almost always fillets whoever she's gonna kill.
yeah,
She
man.
doesn't just like decapitate them. Like she fillets them first.
She was my favorite character when I
Yeah,
watched it.
she's a bad chick.
I hated.
The
And then I
butterfly
would hate
ninja
when they would
stars.
start. Yeah, and when they would start taking like have those conversations, I was like, kill him. He's being disrespectful. Kill him.
Yeah, but
I
she's
hate
like
that shit.
she almost seems like the one that well she's the one that you would root for. Like she's the one that's doing shit the
Right.
right way. Like you would want to be a part of
Right.
her society.
Right,
But
her house or whatever they call them. Yeah.
yeah, so like yeah, that it's good, man. It's really good.
I mean, I like it. Just like I said, it's too much drama for my taste. Even The Walking Dead. Once they got to that prison, I
Yeah.
kind of fell off because there's just less action.
The
Like,
Walking Dead,
uh,
like their kind of side of it, like the social aspect and the drama for them, that shit
yeah.
would stress me out because you'd be like, if that was me, like, would I do anything different here? Because I'd like to think that I would probably make the right decision, but they had so much like gray area that they highlighted in some of that stuff. Like,
I like the gray area. Like,
yeah,
I would be like the ultimate asshole because like you're doing it for the people you care about, right?
right,
So
right.
you
But then
second
like.
yourself, oh, it's
There's so
not
many
right.
opportunities for them to show you like, well, the people you care about is almost just like the people that they care about, and they're doing the same thing that you're doing. It's like,
right, but like
there's no
I
right
like
decision
when Rick,
sometimes.
but like when Rick, right? That's the main guy's name, the sheriff or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when he gets into his badass mode, it's usually after him or one of his people were wronged, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't ever just like I'm
Then
gonna
he
shoot
unleashes
everybody up.
himself. Yeah.
Right, kind of like the guy in their new enemy. I forgot what his the one who carries around the bat with the barbed wire.
I know who you're talking about. I've seen like the cover and everything, but I haven't actually went past season 2 or 3.
Right, but like okay, so he's like Rick.
It was
but,
like the mom died, and I fell off around then when
Right,
the mom
in the
died.
prison. Right, I didn't like the prison stuff at all. Like it
Yeah.
got too politic. Like
And then all these
like the
people
guy-
were popping up too, and it's like, wow, there's
Right.
that many people everywhere. Like, how long were they on the radio in season 1 broadcasting
And he's
like
like,
survivors over
right.
here?
Why didn't they just move away? But like my point was like with the guy with the base, he's kind of like Rick but he's at that extreme version. Like any new people he sees, he wants to dominate them, right?
Yeah,
So
and
he's
that's
kinda like the
almost
bully.
what he has to do. It's like back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like the alpha has to be established, and
Right, but he's to the point where he'll kill whoever he thinks is gonna be a problem child. Right?
oh, so
He
he's
doesn't-
like in the name of efficiency, just like
Right. He doesn't even give him a chance to fail or to rebel. Like he's like, oh,
there's no chance of redemption or due process.
Right, Right, like, oh, you're military and you have a stubborn look about you. I'm just gonna kill you right now, and then I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
take
like
your women
you're gonna
if I
give me
like your women.
problems. It doesn't
Right,
afford
like,
them like the chance to.
right, or if he finds like a woman that he likes because he had like 6 wives. I think by the time I like completely just fell off of it completely.
Uh
Like because even if he liked your wife, like he would get rid of you or you a bitch and take your wife and stuff like that.
huh. Vulgar Tico
It's
says
like
you're lucky, bro. The Walking Dead went way downhill. Oh,
right,
okay.
yeah, yeah, we fell off at the me and you fell off during the prison time, and it was just I knew it was gonna keep
I
going
rode the
down.
hype train for a bit though, and I even played the Telltale
Yeah,
games, the Walking Dead games, like where you're
they
making
were
the
good. I
choose your
played
own
them.
adventure shit. That stuff was
Yeah,
like the game was just as stressful as the movie, and I was or the show.
right.
I was surprised by that. It made me really like look at the Telltale like genre a little bit more closely. I played one with the werewolf too. Like what was his name? I forget what it's called, but it's like you're the big bad wolf, and you got to go through and like you're fighting all these other like fantasy characters. Like there's Alice in Wonderland, and there's you get the dwarves, but like as the wolf, you're like a detective, so you're trying to solve the murder of Snow White or something like that. And it's dark, man. It's like Walking Dead dark, and the decisions you make and everything come back and haunt you later. Really well
Yeah,
done. But that's the game
I
version
like
of
them.
that shit. I really love that.
I love those games. Like that's how Star Wars, the not SWTOR, but the ones before
Yeah,
them,
yeah, yeah. SWTOR
and
even
the Mass.
like to a certain extent did pretty well
Yeah,
that way
and
too.
yeah, but and then like the Mass Effect games, well, 1 through 3 anyway, they were like that
Yeah.
too, and I just love them. And Dragon Age to a certain extent too.
I
Like
feel like I
those were
miss
the
out
best.
with Mass Effect and Dragon Age because I wasn't on those whenever they came out.
It's fine. I mean, you
I
can go back and
always hear about them.
yeah, the stories were real good for them, and it felt like you made a difference at least at the
Like your
during the game.
decisions mattered. Yeah, I love that.
Right.
Like they could make it seem like it wasn't gonna work out just anyways. Like that to me is
Yeah.
like it's almost like a slap in the face. It's like
Or
wow,
like
I spent 40 hours on this game and my decisions didn't matter. It's like
right. Or
damn.
like in the Witcher 3. Witcher 3 is another new one that was that
Witcher 3 did that? Where your
kind
decisions
of
matter or they don't?
they no they do like you
Oh,
can
okay.
have like different playthroughs and like experience different things. A lot of the
I was
newer
gonna
games
be
you
disappointed because I heard a lot of good things about Witcher 3.
no Witcher 3 is like I think it was like game of the year it came out. It was
Yeah.
really good. It
The
it
the guy, the
captured
main
that
character, somebody made a BDO likeness of him, and I thought that was really cool. They had like the Witcher.
Geralt. I think his name's Geralt or Geralt or something like that.
Yeah, someone did him up in BDO with the character creator. I was like, damn, that looks badass. And like, I felt that itch initially for almost a minute. I was like, oh no, I need to stop. I can't go back to that. The
I
game's
mean, it's
called
probably on itself.
Fables. Oh yeah, the Fables games were really good. Those are like the early version of games trying to do that. It's based really on good comics like The Walking Dead, Big B Wolf. Yes, Big B Wolf. Exactly.
That's what they're saying. Fables. That's the name of the games.
Oh, the games are called Fables?
I think
That's
that's
like a
like a
genre?
franchise.
Oh,
I think that's what they're trying to tell you.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look
So there's
those types
probably.
up.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. It sounds like there's probably.
Cause those are good. Like also for if like whenever I was doing the Big B Wolf one, I actually had like my brothers and sisters like Chris and Kara, and we were at my dad's for that Christmas, and we all sat around, and it was interesting for everybody. Like the person playing it, and like making all the decisions on the spot and stuff like that, and then everybody around just being involved in the story. And like you could be like, well, what should I do here? You can actually like ask their advice,
Yeah.
like, what decision should I make? And then her head falls off, and you're like, no.
Yeah. It was like that's kind of like how the Final Fantasy games were back in the day, where you would save like your game and then go try to do something and like fail, and so you'd restart and pick up the game from that save 3 hours ago,
Yeah,
just because you were trying to get a particular outcome.
right.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Love that.
I think that's kind of cheaty, but like, yeah, you almost feel like you
Yeah.
have to do that just so you don't
Well,
accidentally like
not
screw yourself up for the long game.
right, but that was back then when like there was no cloud. Now they have
Yeah,
everything saved to the cloud where you almost can't do it anymore. Like once you make that
yeah.
decision, it's more in stone.
Please do not turn off or unplug the console when the gear icon's in the top right corner.
Well, well, like even like games like WoW, once you make a decision, it's like you'd have to re-roll and
Oh yeah.
Like if you think about the demon hunter, when you have to choose between the two followers, and then one of them dies.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
And
we
then
got Vulgar Teacups now part of the Stalwart Vanguard. Welcome to Stalwart Vanguard, Vulgar Teacup. I thought you already were part of the Stalwart Vanguard. Well, welcome again, anyways. Oh yeah. Geralt of Rivas is gonna be in the new Soul Calibur. Oh, Soul
ooh,
Calibur is awesome. I wonder what those are doing nowadays because I haven't played the last one I played. They had Yoda, so that's how long ago I played Soul Calibur. And Geralt Rivas is the guy from The Witcher. Oh, so the dude from The Witcher is gonna be in Soul Calibur. Damn, I bet you that's gonna be badass. The God of
well,
War too, like that's another really well
yeah.
done type of game. But that's like it's
Well, the
super
new one,
gratifying. Like combat in that the little clips I've seen. There's a shield type specialization that he can go. That looks nuts. Excuse me, one sec. But yeah, God of War, the combat, I really love that. The
the new one coming out is what you're talking about.
any God of War's combat where you got the on the spot like
Well,
combos
it's
and
the
stuff like
new
that.
one that comes out. It's completely different from the old one.
The new one coming out.
Yeah.
The the mechanics, or do you mean like story wise and all that?
Uh, it's the story is gonna be like kind of like a mirror instead of what they have. It's gonna be more Norse,
Oh, okay.
like with Odin
I
and all
wonder
them.
why
But
that
anyway,
is. Like, why is so much Norse stuff? You think that's Avengers? Do you think that's Thor that's doing that?
no, it's just a phase. Like we go through phases. Like went
Like the
through like
zombie
God
phase?
of War. Well, right. God of War specifically, they've kind of already told like that particular story with 3 previous games. So it's almost like a relaunch, but like moving forward at the same time, but telling a different story,
Yeah.
right?
Because the old God of War was all Greek mythology, right?
Right. So
Hades and
like
Ares and stuff.
yeah, so like they're gonna be telling almost and all those mythos are almost telling of the same story at
I
different.
foresee I'm gonna predict Indian mythology coming up next, soon after that.
I don't, I don't want to. Oh, you're talking about like oh yeah, that makes sense, like the Shiva and all that.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on in the Indian mythology, like in their type of gods and stuff with the superpowers and shit. Stuff sounds nuts.
Well, I'm sure that the God of War franchise will probably throw out 3 games before they change it.
Yeah, but that's probably not what I'm saying. Is probably not gonna happen for like another few years, like three
A
to
decade.
five. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
God of
It's
War
hard
is
to
from
tell.
Greek mythology. Ares, Ares. Okay, it was Ares.
Right.
I
That was
remember him
like the
being like
original story.
giant Ares.
But the new one isn't gonna be uh stated in that mythos. It's gonna be a different mythos.
I've seen a couple clips on Reddit of like some of the combat and stuff like that. How he takes people out and stuff. And there was another one other than the sword and shield one. The sword and the shield one was the one that was I was like, I need to get a console. I need to buy this game because it was just like Arms Warrior. Like, have y'all seen what's it called? The King Arthur one, the Sword in the Stone story, but it's got the dude from Sons of Anarchy. There's a new one. I think it's called King Arthur. It's just
Yeah.
recently came out. Dude's a badass though. He pulls the sword out and he's legit like full on arms warrior. He's like a World of Warcraft arms warrior. He does like these blade storm moves, and when he puts his hand on the weapon, he like enters battle mode. It's fucking raw. Like I love that.
I haven't seen it, so I'm not commenting. That's all.
Oh man, it's if the storyline doesn't do it for you, just when he picks up that sword, like that's what I would watch it for,
That
because
comment.
it's
No,
so
it's
good.
just yeah. I mean, I haven't even watched the last Star Wars movie yet, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I just haven't been into movies lately.
Yeah, I have like these little phases I go through. Like I'll take
Hey.
a break for a while and come back to it.
Right. Like I rotate between hard like grind no lifing a game or and then like books like a new book will come out and then I'll find maybe a new series and
Yeah,
no life it. Same with movies and TV shows too. Like you can get on a bender and just like no life a series.
right. The Vulgar Teacup says in Hindu mythology, there's a god and a goddess that if they bang, they'll destroy all worlds. Talk about a buzzkill. Damn. That's crazy. I'm trying to imagine who even that would be. Like, I vaguely know, like, most of these creation stories have, like, echoes and parallels and other mythos from other cultures. But that, if they destroy all worlds, if it's a god and a goddess, because even WoW, to a certain extent, you could probably draw a parallel to some of this stuff from. Like, who would that be? Azeroth and Sargeras? that's what comes to mind immediately, like right off the top of my head, off the cuff, I guess. What if Azeroth and Sargeras? We're gonna get Wyvernfall in here asking about Legion armies in a second if I'm not careful.
My legend begins now.
Wow, this dungeon flew by. Just burned straight through Scarlet Monastery Cathedral. Yeah, some of that stuff. There's actually a series on Netflix with some of that Hindu mythology where there's like this hero on Earth, and he's like, it's like a teenage show. Like, put it on for the kids. I thought it would be something that they could watch and get into that would be kind of cool for them. Like, it was set up kind of like from the image on the like the show, it looked like Power Rangers almost because it had like different kinds of I guess deities that represent different elements. Like one's wind, one's fire, and with that one, it was in Hindu, or I think that's the language, um, subtitled in English. So I was reading all the subtitles to Alex, and I think John was there too. So both my kids, I was reading it off to, and this dude's like a savior put on the planet, and his dad's like his protector, and actually not really his dad. And like whenever these demons or whatever come up and they start trying to take over the world, the savior gets activated, and he has these dormant hidden powers, and he has to learn how to control them. And he gets like pushed up to the seat of the pantheon on the astral plane, and they give him the rundown like, yeah, you're a savior, your dad's not your dad. And it was all really cool. Like, just that little taste of Hindu mythology that I have experienced from is, I think there's endless stories that could be told from that type of stuff. And I've always like been a real fan of the dormant superhero powers training montage type stuff. Like, that's my shit. I really like the progression of it, like building them up from regular average Joe to heroic savior. Vulgar Teacup says the Halls of Valor is a direct nod to Valhalla. Fenrir Odin is pretty dope. Yeah, and warriors just as a class too. Like when you get into the warrior order hall, and you start doing missions for your order hall, like it's all around that stuff. So like I thought that was interesting. And it was weird because at first I felt a little resistance against that idea because I never saw warriors in WoW like that. I was like, I thought it was more like, fantasy medieval knights type warriors, but now they're saying this is like, I'm Odin's pet Valajar. Like, I gotta go do stuff for Odin now. I didn't like the idea of being controlled, especially by Odin, because Odin's an asshole. Because, like,
Totally. He is.
So, like,
Wow, Odin, wow. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
well, even Odin
Mythic
mythological.
Odin. Yeah, I was just thinking he probably too. Depending on who you liked and didn't like, he'd be an asshole.
Have you seen Thor Ragnarok? Like, even that Odin is an asshole. Like, Helya, like the reason why she's all bitter and stuff like that. The way Ragnarok tells the story is like Odin and Helya used to go conquer worlds. Like they would jump between dimensions and just conquer worlds and just like put their name and flag all over the galaxy or the universe or whatever. And then at some point Odin like decided he didn't want to do that anymore and kicked her to the curb.
Always like that.
It was like, I actually really love my son more now.
Right.
So it was like the betrayed daughter and all that stuff.
Right. It was pretty much, it's like gaming, and then it's like, oh, well, I had to, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm done with this video game now.
Yeah. It's also a throwback to, like, if you actually see Thor 1, I mean, that's how Thor was headed until the event of Thor 1 happened, right? He was just like, oh, let's just go and conquer these worlds. It's okay.
Yeah. He lived for the battle. He didn't really.
And even in Thor 2, the opening, I think he's fighting with, like, when he's trying to calm down the different factions that are rising up.
Yeah.
So he almost went down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
Loki already kind of was. Loki was already kind of
right.
like starting to lead the
But like,
way to that direction. And it's
and
weird because Loki had to adjust.
right, and then Odin and WoW is almost very similar. Like the reason that Helya is down there is because he he basically killed her, took her spirit, and he pretty much did an Arthas. Remember what Arthas did to Sylvanas? That's what
Yeah.
he did to Helya.
Oh
He
shit.
put Helya down there in that hellhole.
And that's like, yeah, that's what's cool is like all these creation stories and mythos, they have
Right.
parallels, and that's what I love about WoW is like it's incorporating that.
Yeah, it always
Vulgar
has.
Teacup says you should read The Warden Man if you like coming of age dormant powers. Oh, The Warden Man? I want to see that then. I'm gonna have to check that
Said
out.
read. I think he said read.
Yeah, I want to see what that is. Beaver says, "Hey man, I'm back. Welcome, Beaver.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Warner Brothers, WB."
Okay.
So The Warden Man, who writes that book? Is that like a fantasy genre? I've most recently in the past 10 years been really deep into the fantasy worlds, like
Same.
epic fantasies and stuff. With like that
Well,
whole Codex
yeah,
Alera series really got me turned on to it.
I'm more urban.
Urban fantasies, like urban legend type stuff.
Well, no, like not urban legends. Urban.
Well, I guess
Like what it? It's urban something
the
like the
Dresden
Dresden
Files?
Files.
Yeah, the
Like
Dresden Files is a good example.
yeah,
Those
it's
are
the
kind of like
urban.
detective stories and stuff.
Right, but like it's like the mythos, but with like current day,
The twist,
like
yeah,
interaction.
in the
Like
modern
it's
day.
today, like modern day. Yeah, they're called urban, not urban fiction. Is it urban fiction or something like that?
Maybe.
That's the genre.
That
Like
sounds fitting.
it's where it's mixing like modern day, like the technology that we have right now, like
Yeah.
those stories, and, like a coming of age story, like the Dresden Files.
I think that's
The
what all
Druid.
these superhero movies started doing well is they started mixing like how would like because we almost already are advanced enough to make some of these like believable at least or like easy to like put parallels into modern day
Well,
like
it's
Batman
easy.
like it's
I
easy to
think it's
believe that a billionaire could make anything he wanted and be like a
it's
vigilante.
not. I mean, right. It is and it isn't. I think it's not that aspect of it. I think the aspect of it is that we used to go to the movies and be like it would be like, oh, it's in a certain time, it's in a
Yeah,
different
some
reality, blah
fantasy
blah blah.
world, yeah.
But then like you started seeing movies like remember Scream, like where they were adding in like from other movies, like from our world, like, oh yeah, that's not what they said in the movie Psycho
Started
or
breaking the
what.
fourth dimension a little bit.
Yeah, like they were adding like cell phones, like or like song music from
Yeah.
like they like Spider-Man, like the newer Spider-Man have done a real good job of like putting like throwback music that you or like Deadpool when he's listening to the '90s music right before he jumps down and kills like the people.
I still
'Cause,
haven't seen Deadpool. I need to watch that. I
wow,
know. I'm like, there's some shit I'm really behind on.
wow, that was
Cause
like the
that's
best
that's kind of what we were
human
just saying. Like,
superhero.
I'll drift. I'll be like movies and TV
Right,
shows, or they're like books. Like I haven't done books in a while, but
like
for a while I
right,
was
but
into
like
books. But
those that one movie was better than any Thor movie, and it was up there with the Marvel movie for sure. Like
yeah, I don't
that,
doubt
and
it.
I'm talking
Like I
about.
think it was.
I'm
I actually remember the older Deadpool, like the cartoons and shit, and how crazy
That's
and goofy he
exactly what
was.
that's exactly what Ryan Reynolds pulled off too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I hear, and I do want to watch it. I just, I had the opportunity hasn't presented itself. I'm not in the right time or right place for it yet, but at some point I will be. And it's almost like I got a little cookie that I'm saving. I can
Yeah.
eat that
Well,
cookie whenever I want.
Alex has seen that movie about a dozen times, so
Yeah,
I don't think like if you're watching it, it won't get too graphic. I've seen that shit.
yeah.
Here.
I'm trying to like be around them for some of that too, like introduce them to like my dad used to watch rated R movies. He used to watch like Def
Yeah.
Comedy Jam with us in the house and shit. And my
Yeah.
stepmom, she used to like wig out like you can't be letting them listen to stuff like this, but like that's reality. That's what's happening in the
Right.
world. Like you can't shelter your kids forever. It's almost like you're breaking their legs almost whenever they go out into proper society if they don't know anything about these things.
I I kind of like it when they find that stuff out on their own. Like what was that one movie? Well, they did like an early gimmick of it in that movie. What was it? With Tom Hanks, one of those Tom Hanks movies where he has a son and his wife. He's a widower or whatever. Oh,
Where's the
Sleepless in Seattle. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh wow, I was thinking a different one. Yeah.
All right, well, like when his son, they're brushing their teeth, and he's like, well, when you have sex, does the woman always scratch your back? And he's like, looks at his son like, how do you
Yeah.
know that? And he's
Yeah.
like, well, in the movies we've watched, when they're having sex, the woman's always scratching the man's back. And
Right.
he's like, where are you watching this? And he's like, oh, Jeff's got HBO. And
Right.
he's like, yeah, I love that. Was hilarious.
And that's
Like,
all I would
and
do when I was a kid. Like
like,
me and my friends, we tune it over to the fuzzy
right,
channel and try to make
but
out
like,
where the boob was.
that's so awesome because it's like you're not even teaching them. You just have to explain to them like why. Like they find out that on their own. I like that because and then you don't have to go in the awkwardness. Okay, like there's this thing. It's called sex. It's when a man and a woman.
When a man loves a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I kind of try to
You
do it
just
like
have
my
to
dad too. Like introduce him to some
right,
of these more subtle subjects, like
right,
through
and then like you talk
music.
about it afterwards, right?
Yeah, and then just like
Yeah,
drop little breadcrumbs later. You'll explain the
and then
rest.
right, and then you can explain like you don't have to like it's like breaking the ice. Like they bring up
Yeah,
the subject and then you can just explain like what you want to explain to them. Like you don't
that's
have
all
to
kind
sit
of
there
my
and be
dad
like,
was good at. He was good at
yeah,
like introducing us to some of these like more complicated ideas, and then later like we found out, hey, we actually know a little bit about some of this for some reason. Where did that
yeah.
come from? But let me catch up on chat here. Vulgar Teacup says the Demon Cycles by Peter V. Brett. They have a movie in the works called or works for the Warden Man. Oh, okay. So the Warden Man is actually part of the Demon Cycles, and it's by Peter V. Brett. Vulgar says 11 out of 10. Nice. That's
I'm gonna have to look it up
pretty good. And then
because it sounds like
Beaver said something, but I'm trying to watch out for Blades of Light. Give me a
it
second,
sounds.
Beaver. He says, "Can I join the talk with you and Blue Strider?" No, man, not right now.
Fine.
Vulgar Teacup says, "Don't wait for the movie though. Read the book, LMFAO. The movie's been in the works for like 5 years." Oh man, yeah. The World of Warcraft movie's been in the works for like 10 years, and that shit finally came out, and now I'm looking for the next one of that one.
Yeah, good luck with that. If they do make another one, it'll probably just be and we'll get the subtitled version.
You cut out a little. What did you say? If they make a new one,
If,
it'll be
if they make it, if like someone continues on with those movie franchise, it'll probably be in Chinese, and then we'll get the translated version.
those aren't always bad. I actually saw
Yeah.
the Full Metal
No, but that's
Alchemist movie
right. But I'm
version.
saying like we probably won't make one. Like if anybody does make one, like I
Yeah.
mean, I shouldn't even say we.
I think
I
that
should
at
say
least introduce
Blizzard North America.
that those at least introduce it to the like the movie directors that probably could make an English version. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because like
I'm hopeful. Like I'd rather them make one than there not be one at all.
most of that stuff starts underground some way.
Like I hope Blizzard lets like because apparently like WoW was the movie wasn't really good here Warcraft, but it was huge over there and it was received really well.
Nice.
So like there's an audience there for it for sure. Like
I
I
like
hope they
offshoots where it's
I
like you could
like
tell that there's inspiration from
right,
either from WoW or wherever WoW got its inspiration in the Game of Thrones with the Lich King shit. Like that stuff is almost directly paralleled.
I don't know which one came out first though. Like I don't know if
I don't know.
the books of
I don't really
Fire and
care.
Ice
I just think it's interesting. It's like this thing exists in multiple places. That's kind of awesome.
but they're really not the same thing because like I mean the big bad
I'd
in the
never
Game of
heard of a
Thrones.
Lich King before. Wow.
Yeah, but the big bad in the Game of Thrones, like it was only hinted at. It was nothing like the Lich King like presented up front.
In Game of Thrones, I actually don't know. That just at a
No,
glance, that bit
yeah,
you showed me was like the WoW Lich King in my mind.
right, but like that was like in one of the later books. That's what I'm saying. Like I think WoW actually beat it to the punch, but I'm not sure
Oh,
on that.
okay.
I'd have to go back and look at the dates of the book.
Oh,
The
right,
book,
because the book was written like so much. So you're trying to figure out who inspired who. I get
right?
that.
Cause
Yeah.
and then Blizzard did Wrath. Like they released it in what 08 or 12? No, 12. Right? It was
Like
12.
if this went to court, who would win?
I think it was released what 2012. Does that sound right for Wrath?
um, I don't know, man. Asmongold would know off the top of his head.
Right, and then even then, like Wrath was in the works. Like they had Arthas since Warcraft,
Yeah.
so you might even say Warcraft, whatever Warcraft came out.
WoW was the one expansion I stood in line for, and you would
Right.
think it would stick out for me to remember that, but I just remember standing in line. I don't remember the day.
Right. So sometime after you graduated high school, right? Because you were in the military.
Yeah, I was definitely already in the military.
So like 2012, 2014, somewhere around there.
2012 sounds right. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you like when each deployment was.
Actually, I would have graduated in what 2003, 2004. So you would have
Yeah.
graduated like 2006. Oh no, 2002.
I
2006. So,
graduated 2003.
so it might have came out like 2007, 2008 even.
We could Google it probably and solve that really quick.
Why would we want to waste our time Googling?
Wrath of the Lich King
Where is Siri?
release date. Alexa, help me,
Alexa, I
Alexa.
was gonna say Alexa.
2008 it says was the initial release.
Yeah, 2008. Okay.
Vulgar Teacup said, "Oh shit, my tunes are on Dollar Ed too. Can I add you?" Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Oh, this is what's cool about being on a bigger server too. It's like
People-
we're not on some like little redheaded stepchild server where we're by ourselves, grounded in our bedroom. We're actually like
just-
out in the playground.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely add me. Here, this is my BattleNet. Psycho
Nice.
Crusher
You
hashtag
gotta- you
1567.
gotta learn.
Yeah, we're trying to amass a friends list that can run with us. That plays during the weird hours we're on.
But he's probably at work right now or something, watching your channel, right?
Yeah, probably.
That case.
Beaver said, and also today I worked on the farm and now I'm officially a farmer boy. Nice, man.
Ooh, nice. Got them farmer skills. That means like you were
Yeah.
up at like the crack of dawn, or even before that.
When society
Yeah.
crumbles, you'll still know how to function.
You'll be able to feed yourself.
Yeah.
I won't. I'll either like die or I'll have to become an asshole who hunts people down and steals their shit and become a thief,
Right?
or become an alpha and just like
I'm gonna have to be the guy that has the spiked baseball bat that's like, okay, so this guy's prior military, we need to just take him out now.
right.
I gotta deal
He's
with
gonna be a
anybody
threat.
usurping
I'm not
me.
gonna put up with the threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, he's got the vocal hot wife. We either need to put her in submission or we need to get rid of her. She's just gonna create drama.
I'd like to think I'd be the Asian dude from like the first or second season that's the runner,
Yeah.
that's always he's
The
like the
quick-
professional
the
runner.
agile
Yeah. Or just the person that's out in the mix like running. That would be how I would earn my keep. I would be content doing that.
I would probably know life a subject and be like that guy from the later seasons who's like super smart at like
Well,
tacticians and shit like that.
I always think about it. I wonder what you think about this. Like back in the day, reading was not commonplace. Like people that could read and write were
Back in the day, like
like medieval, like Dark Ages type shit, right?
because people didn't even know how to read.
So
right?
like is that to you like the same thing as like what do you think? Well, in my opinion, like that's what mages are based off of, and sorcerers, or even necromancers and
Yeah.
warlocks. It's like
priests too, because like back in the day, like they were the ones who knew how to do shit, right?
yeah.
The scientists,
And it's like they
Like-
magically had
like
this
even-
information, like, and
Right,
you
like
never
even
seen
you
them
and-
doing these things, but they
Oh.
knew all about it.
Wait a minute. So what perspective are you talking about? Like, the perspective of the person who just doesn't know, or from the perspective of the person who does know?
So I guess from what I was thinking along that line of thought was, what would a modern age mage look like? Because I guess in my head it's almost like what a
engineer?
grandparent sees whenever they see their grandchild pick up these devices and all of a sudden like know a buttload of crap
Oh.
about things.
Well, it depends. It depends on how you're trying to classify one. Like if you're trying to classify with like instinctual, kids from the dawn of time have always been that because things just come. They have a natural instinct when all they have to do is
Well-
see somebody do it once and then they repeat it, right?
For them it's like that's the way the world always has been.
Right. But like,
Whereas
like,
an older
I know
person
we-
holds
we
on
like
to the
say, we like to say that kids just pick it up and learn how to do it, but the point in fact is
Well-
they see you do it once, right? They see you playing with your phone once, and then they pick it up and they do it because they learn. They're learning from just watching you do it one time, right?
yeah.
They don't just automatically like you've never shown them a phone and then one day you get a phone and like, hey, play with this. No, it's they saw you do it one time and then they emulate you, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to
So,
add this person to battle tag, so my attention's a little split right
right.
now. Give me a sec.
So like I wouldn't necessarily call them the mages like yet. I would
Yes.
I would say like engineers, kind of like the ultimate. Like if you just want to categorize them and be done with it, you know, like the geeks from the geeks, the stars from The Big Bang Theory, the
Okay.
actors, those characters.
Uh-huh.
Like Sheldon would be like a mage, like the know-it-all, but like if you hit him with something, he'd probably go down without a fight.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
like
like
he's
he's
a
got all
clothy,
this
right?
knowledge.
So he
Right, he could,
compensates for mass, like
right,
the muscle mass and
right.
all that stuff
And like
with his
he
brain
could probably
mass.
take he could probably take what he has under his sink and build like an explosive device without even looking on Google. Like he just like would know because he studied it, right?
Uh,
Like he wouldn't have to go like, oh, how do I collate with this detergent? How do I make something explosive? He would just know how to do it because he knows what chemicals are already in it. He knows how to take what he needs from it and just make one.
right. The chemical
Right,
composition of stuff and how it reacts
right.
with other
Or
chemical
like,
compositions and all that.
or like,
Like
or
that
like the
looks
one,
like
yeah,
magic to somebody that doesn't know.
right. Or like the one who used to live with his mom and chick. I forget his name, but like he's the electronic guy,
The
right?
little Jew
He could
boy.
like, yeah, like
Yeah.
he could take it like a walkie-talkie and almost make it like a
Nice.
robot out of it, right?
Thanks, Wolf Shade. I'm sorry, my attention's super split. This group I'm in, they keep chain queuing. No, thank you, appreciate it. But I'm
Right. So
like
like
also really
those group,
interested in what we're
I
talking about.
no, you're fine. I'm answering your question, so like I know you're distracted, but that's who I would think the wizards and magicians are, like the people who have the knowledge to do something.
Right. But it's like, I guess the difference is in the Dark Ages, like there was no established educational system to at least give
No,
everybody a basis for knowledge. Whereas we have
there
now,
was.
like people know, oh, science is why that person knows. Because,
Well, I mean, they were educated, like the priests, like even churches, and like you were saying, like the magistrum and all them, like of the king, like they
yeah,
were educated. They were usually from families who could be educated, or when they became a priest, they got educated. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That was
Invite
like
me,
always
and it says invite me. I ain't doing shit. I'll help you guys run through stuff. Oh, okay. I don't really need carries. It's kind of fun doing it with the level scaled right now. Like this is actually the reason why I love the game right now. Like what I'm doing with like mobs that are staying alive and there's the group dynamic and stuff like that. But if you got somebody that's like around my level, that's well, even level scaled, like if you have anybody that's still in the vanilla content, like I'd be down to run with you for sure. I want to get maxed out like ASAP though. Like I want to earn it, but I also want to get capped out ASAP so we can actually do like relevant content. Like I'm talking about like normal Antorus, the Burning Throne, with like as much people as we can get from our friends list, but then LFR for the rest if we need to.
in
But
guild for that matter.
mythic pluses and like that's where I want to get. And it won't take me long to level. I'm not gonna sit here in the 20s for very long. Well, I just hit 30, so like it's not gonna take me very long. Maybe a day or two. But even outside of this, like I could switch over to one of my mains and we could do something relevant even today if you really wanted. I'm trying to get this guy leveled ASAP though, so we could do all that just on this server cluster.
Right,
If
and
any of
like
that makes sense, I don't know.
it's kind of funny. Like I'm not trying to throw anything, like, but like, isn't that weird? Like you've been streaming for a while and like you've got a bunch of mains, right, or a bunch of high level characters, and it doesn't really matter what server you are on anymore. But because he saw you were on Dollar, I mean,
Uh-huh.
like, but yet you've been playing this game the whole time. Isn't that weird? How that meant
Yeah. But I don't
that,
I'm not I
yeah,
didn't advertise in any way. This is like a complete accident that
right. No,
they
that's what I'm
saw.
saying. Like,
That's weird.
it,
But yeah, how is that different, right? It's like we're part of the same tribe
right,
now. So it's like now we can run
right.
together
How is it different
because
when you were like in the
there's
single
literally
player?
no barrier other than
But
that.
like it's still like embedded within our own. Like, even us, we think of that too. Oh, like when we were looking at that streamer yesterday, we were like, "What server is he on? Like, let's get on his server, right?" But it really doesn't matter.
Right.
It shouldn't matter. I guess I should say it
I've
shouldn't
been
matter, but it
questing
does.
and dungeon. The guildmaster's whispering me, checking to see how we're doing.
Yeah.
Dungeon
Okay.
queuing, making them levels. But yeah, you're on Dalaran, right? So what guild are you in? I guess I could check, huh? Starmug? The Wasted Glory. So what would you say your guild focus is? Is it really just like Green Chat? Or are you guys like actively doing anything together as a guild? Because kind of this whole experiment with Thorthord here, and even Cuz in voice right now, we were running together. I think he's gonna token, but for us getting on this server, we wanted to see like what real guilds are doing, because I have the suspicion that the lower population server over there, like those guild communities are so, I don't know, quarantined off from the rest of the larger community of WoW players that they're different. They're different in a way because they're in a lower population. It would
Right, they're playing the game differently.
Yeah, by old standards, like that would probably be better to have a lower population community because then it would be more focused, I guess. But now with all this like scaling or sharding and
Group finder.
yeah, and pre-mades and group finders, like it's almost like fractionated the community in a way. So as soon as we logged in over here, started a character, like immediately social interaction started happening that wouldn't have otherwise occurred over there on that other server. Or if they did, like they're like a candle that flickers brightly right before it burns out. It's
Right, or
like,
they're not like an echo chamber, like it's just the same 4 or 5
yeah,
people.
and that's less enjoyable for everybody or even myself. But
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's,
like it already seems like I'm playing WoW again since I've logged in over here and started leveling this guy. And I'd like to
yeah.
hope that it would continue that way when I hit 110. There's 31. Awesomeness, let us know if you need anything. Cool GM on point. See, and then like this guild master has to stay competitive with these other guilds. So like this person seems like they're made for it. Like they're actually really good at keeping tabs on everybody and making sure that they're progressing, asking if they need help, and staying in touch with their community that they're creating. Whereas like on that other server, guildmasters care less because they just want somebody to run their 5-mans with so they can use their time effectively when they're logged in, I guess. I don't know. It seems like there's a different mentality though already. I may just be paying attention to it and maybe that's why I notice, but um, I don't know. What's your experience, Jen? Or Jen rather, Vulgar Teacup. Jen's the guildmaster whispering. I said Jen. It's weird when you ask the stream something, especially like any specific person, because there's that delay, like both in the
Right.
stream and then the response, and then you're like, I wonder if they're even still at the keyboard right now. Maybe they took
And
off.
then, like, and then if they don't answer, yeah, you're wondering, I wonder if they left already.
Yeah.
Or if
Look,
they're like,
bro, I just wanted to run you through stockades endlessly till you got to 60. Didn't ask for all this. You know? There is this kind of elitist mentality too, like where you just want to like flex for somebody. Like, look at all the toys I got. Or look at
Yeah.
all my pet battle experience.
well, actually, like, someone did the numbers, and they're saying that, yeah, that's fine if you can, like, almost auto-run somebody through it, like, over and over, but
More
you actually get
efficient?
more experience. Well, no, not, it used to be before the crunch, but,
Uh-huh.
not the crunch, but the
I know
level scaling.
even people trying to level, they would pay people to do that for them.
Right. Yeah, before the level scaling, but like a lot of the maps comes down and says just doing the dungeons back to back because you'll never do a dungeon almost more than twice unless you're tanking or healing.
Uh-huh.
Like you go through them so
So
quickly.
getting boosted and doing the initial dungeon quest in each one, is that, or do you think just like running stockades 20 million times? Because it scales indefinitely, so like you're gonna get it really good experience for each kill. So is that better in comparison than actually queuing for each different dungeon that pops up and doing those initial dungeon quests?
Well, supposedly the reason you remember how you said that when you're doing a dungeon you get so much XP.
Yeah.
That's the bonus they give to doing random dungeons too. Like they actually boosted it up.
Oh right,
than
the
what it was
random dungeon
before.
reward with the satchel.
Right.
So
Well, no, like not even that. Like the XP itself, like you're getting like almost 3 times than what you would used to get by when just doing it once.
oh okay.
But like
But
they
I
it
was
was that
wondering if each mob, since they're scaling up to your level now, are yielding better reward.
there's
Like
diminishing returns, I think, though now.
completing this dungeon gave me 31k or almost 32k experience, and then the
Right.
satchel. But this group that we're in is, I guess, a good group because like we just keep requeuing.
Right, but you're
So
doing random, right? You're not doing. That's what I'm saying. Like the
as
random
I'm
bonus.
doing it with them, I am. But when I'm on my
Right.
own, I'm doing specifics.
Right, but then you're going for the
All right,
quest reward, right?
three's the limit. They all started leaving, so we're good on that. I guess. What were you saying? Cause excuse me. And just in those levels, I've unlocked the next tier of dungeons. So
Right.
Scarlet Monastery's done. Scarlet Halls I still need, and I can queue up for Maradon and Razorfin Crawl now. I think just doing those initial quests and the ones that you can is
Right.
better than even random queue.
No, it is. It is when because they're scaling. So
Yeah.
like, and they're also like each quest is triple of like a regular quest. So you're, and if you do like 4 of them, that's like literally 15 quests you're turning in.
And each of those quests are scaled to your level as well. I've
Right.
actually
So
been
like,
going pretty non-stop here. I actually need to probably wrap up today's stream. It's been how long? 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call this episode. I'm still gonna be playing, and Teacup, you're more than welcome if you have a lobby to group up and join me. But I most likely don't want to get carried through anything. It to me, it's just it takes the fun out of the game. I'd rather not this is how I play the game. This is fun for me, running meaningful content and stuff. Uh, so yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. It was good talking with you, Vulgar Teacup, and good to see you again, Beaver. Congratulations on your new farmhand hood. I hope you ride all the horses and milk all the cows. But yeah, from me and Cuz, see you
guys,
next time.
see you guys later. Sound like
Later.
an acting picture. Like they remember the farmhand. Give
Yeah.
him the farmhand.